My celebrity wife, fearing I would cheat after our marriage, installed hidden pinhole cameras all over our house. She even broadcasted the entire thing live, yet I remained completely unaware of it. That day, as soon as my wife left for work, I hurriedly sent a voice message. "My wife is at work. You can come over now." As soon as those words were spoken, the live stream chat exploded. What a total scumbag. He has such a beautiful wife, yet he still wants to cheat. At this moment, Wei-chan, no, let's call her Miyuki, who was on the road, stared at her phone with a face as cold as frost. Was I backdoored? I only opened the stream because I was absolutely confident in our relationship. I never expected to fail this test. Suddenly, my phone rang. I opened a voice message, and a beautiful female voice played out. "I'll be there in 15 minutes. This message made the stream even more chaotic. It's real then. This woman is so eager. 15 minutes? I really want to see what she looks like. Miyuki became anxious, wishing she could teleport home right now to tear apart the green tea bitch. Seeing this, the program director comforted her. It might not be what you think. Miyuki stared coldly at the live stream feed. The fans in the stream saw Miyuki's icy expression and flooded the screen with comments of sympathy. Miyuki ignored them, her eyes locked on my image on the screen. She still couldn't believe I was bold enough to bring someone home. Wasn't I afraid she would return suddenly? Just then, I in the video suddenly picked up my phone and called Miyuki. Miyuki kept her face cold, but adjusted her tone, answering like she usually did. "Husband, is something the matter? Just checking if you arrived safely at the office." Hearing my words, Miyuki's expression turned even colder. In the past, she would have been moved, but now she was like an icicle. I wasn't calling to show care. I was checking to make sure she wouldn't come home unexpectedly. Miyuki tried hard to control her emotions. "I've reached the office. I have a meeting to attend soon. Let's talk later." "Glad you made it. I ordered takeout tonight. All your favorites," I said with a smile, hanging up shortly after. The comments went wild. "Look at that. He's a veteran at this. That call was definitely just to confirm if she was coming home." In the control room, the assistant looked at the stone-faced Miyuki and asked, "Miyuki-san, does he usually call you like this?" Miyuki gritted her teeth. "At least 10 times a month." The assistant was dumbfounded. That frequently? The director was also confused. Does he have 6 kidneys or something? The chat room erupted into a frenzy of scumbag comments, though some said if Miyuki divorced me, they'd be happy to take my place. Of course, I knew nothing of this. I had just boiled a kettle of water and was scrolling through my phone on the sofa. Before long, the doorbell rang. The sound made the stream go dead silent. That woman had arrived. In the control room, Miyuki clenched her fists, her gaze locked on the screen. I smiled and opened the door. "Come in, hurry!" I placed a pair of slippers on the floor. A tall, long-haired beauty entered. The woman bent over to put on the slippers, a gesture that looked graceful and seductive, and sat on the sofa with me. Upon seeing her face, the stream exploded. WTF! This woman is too beautiful. A skirt that hugs the hips, my absolute favorite. Miyuki, watching from the control room, turned pale instantly. This girl looked to be about 25 or 26 and so beautiful, especially combined with the voice message I had sent earlier. She was now certain I was cheating. Miyuki wanted to rush home to interrogate me. The director quickly comforted her. "Miyuki, don't rush. Let's see what's really going on." Miyuki remained silent, staring coldly at the screen. The woman on screen looked at me with impatience. "I've had enough. When can I see you in the open?" I smiled and said, "Soon. In a month, you can come over openly. I will confess to Miyuki, and then we won't have to be so secretive anymore." When the fans heard my words, they interpreted it differently. WTF. Looks like he's planning to divorce Miyuki. Miyuki is so pitiful. Don't cry, Miyuki. In the control room, Miyuki couldn't hold back tears. Is he trying to divorce me? That bastard! She cursed between sobs. The director handed her a tissue. Miyuki, don't cry yet. If he wants a divorce, start thinking about property division. Miyuki couldn't listen. She kept wiping her tears while staring at the screen. In the room, Kaori, formerly Janyoye, was surprised by my words. Are you really going to tell your wife? I nodded. I had met Kaori 5 years ago through her grandfather. She only knew her grandfather respected me deeply. When she asked why, he never explained, only saying I was an extraordinary person. Kaori asked, puzzled. I know you were a national top scorer on the university entrance exams and a professor at Waseda University, Udaoku. What else do you need to confess to your wife? Tell me. Kaori's words set the chat on fire. Is he bragging? A top scorer? Working as a programmer? A Waseda professor? That's too fake. This flex is not elegant at all. A national top scorer and a Waseda professor? Those are the most prestigious schools in the country. In the control room, Miyuki and the director were stunned. The director asked, Miyuki, is this true? Miyuki stopped crying. She sensed something was off, wiped her face, and shook her head. Impossible. My husband is just an ordinary guy. He never mentioned being a top scorer, and being a Waseda professor is even more impossible. I've never seen him go to Tokyo in all these years. When the fans heard this, the screen was flooded again. I knew he was bluffing. This guy must be a con artist. These are just lies he made up to package himself for women. Exactly, he's a romantic fraud. The fans began their predictions. On screen, I smiled at Kaori. You'll know in a month. It's not the time yet. Kaori was even more curious. What kind of status do you have that makes my grandfather respect you so much? What kind of status requires hiding things from your own wife? Although she was dying of curiosity, seeing that I remained tight-lipped, she finally gritted her teeth. Fine, I'll wait until a month from now. Then Kaori chuckled. Tell me, if your wife knew you were a national top scorer and a Waseda professor. I laughed. It's nothing. Compared to my true identity, being a top scorer and a professor is not worth mentioning. The fans were skeptical. How does he make it sound so real? Someone check if he was really a top scorer. That's easy to verify. Many fans and the program crew began searching online. 3 minutes later, the director shouted, staring at his screen. It's true! He was the national top scorer in 2018. The data was put on the stream. The fans looked at the proof. Holy! National top scorer? My god, is this fantasy? He really was the top scorer. It's true. I checked it too. Miyuki was also shocked. She stared at the screen, dazed. He really was the top scorer. The director continued searching and found a video of a reporter interviewing me in 2018. In the video, the reporter asked how it felt to be the national top scorer. I replied calmly, it was expected. I've always been a top student. Besides literature, I got full marks in every subject. My response left the reporter speechless. The fans saw the video. This guy got full marks in everything but literature? That's insane. I give up. Can't mock this, he's the real deal. Miyuki was stunned. Her husband of 5 years was a national top scorer. Even if it felt surreal, she had to believe it. The director, like a curious child, asked Miyuki, he's been your husband for 5 years. Did he never mention being a top student? Miyuki searched her memories. There was nothing. She told the director firmly, he never said a word about being a top scorer. Everyone in the control room was shocked. A national top scorer should boast about such an honor, especially when dating, but he said nothing. Fans were debating it too. If I were a top scorer, I'd definitely show it off. Especially when dating, he would have had his girlfriend worshiping him. This is too humble. He didn't tell Miyuki for years. Is he a saint with no vanity? Or, as the interview said, is it just expected? More than 400,000 fans were impressed. I had real talent, but stayed humble, showing no vanity. That alone was admirable. The conversation shifted. The top scorer thing is confirmed. Someone check if he's a Waseda professor? Yes, check that. I just checked. To be a professor, you need contributions to academia. If he's actually a professor there, that's insane. In the control room, the director said, I know a professor at Waseda. Let me call and ask. The fans stared at the director, waiting to see if I really was a professor. The director dialed a number. A few seconds later, a middle-aged man's voice answered. Director-san, what brings you to call me? The director said politely, I have a small favor to ask. The man on the other end was easygoing. Sure, anything I can help with. The director asked, It's nothing major. I heard there's a professor at your school named Sora. Let's use Sora. Do you know him? The man replied, I seem to recall the name. Thank you, sorry to trouble you. Then, the sound of keyboard typing echoed. Less than 2 minutes later, the man said, Yes, there is a professor named Sora. He became one 3 years ago. He looks very young in his photo. Since the director had it on speaker, everyone in the stream heard it clearly. I really was a Waseda professor. I'm losing my mind! National top scorer and a Waseda professor. My head is spinning. The fans were in shock. Miyuki was equally shocked. Her husband of 3 years was a Waseda professor? Was this real life? Miyuki said to the director, "Can he send a photo? Maybe it's just a person with the same name." In less than a minute, the director's phone chimed. It was a photo from the staff database. It was indeed me. It was me. The top scorer identity was confirmed. The professor identity was confirmed. Just who was I? Only 28 years old. I almost forgot. He's only 28. A 28-year-old professor. Waseda University, the most famous school in our country. The director was stunned. He thought the program would be fun, like exploring if I hid private money, but he never imagined I'd have such a background. Miyuki was confused. Married for 3 years, she thought she knew me, but she had no idea. She gritted her teeth. I'm his wife. A couple should be honest with each other. Hiding such important things? Does he even see me as his wife? Or perhaps there was a hidden motive? Looking at the earlier situation, Carrie seemed to want information from me, but I refused. It felt like some things couldn't be made public. The chat whispered, "You guys missed a detail. He seems to have another identity too. Seems like he can't talk about it." You're right, let me guess. World's richest man? The fans started guessing. Their appetites thoroughly whetted. They wanted to know what other secrets I had. In the room, Kaori saw my nonchalant expression. Forget it. I won't ask. You wouldn't tell me anyway. I just want to know, a month from now, will I know all your secrets? A month later, I won't hold back a single bit. Kaori looked at me with anticipation. I hope the status you're hiding doesn't disappoint me. I looked at Kaori with interest. And if my true identity disappoints you? Kaori looked at me seriously. Then I'll beat you up. It's like when my husband, if he starts something and then quits, I'd kick him out. The fans laughed at our dialogue. This girl is savage. Anything goes. Now the whole world knows your husband is ineffective. Miyuki's expression grew even colder hearing this, even though Kaori wasn't my mistress. The way the two of us talked so openly made Miyuki feel incredibly awkward. Miyuki cursed internally. You're already married. Can't you keep some distance from the opposite sex? You wait until I get home. On screen, Kaori said, I want lunch. At least 4 dishes and a soup. State banquet standard. I chuckled. When have you ever come here and not had a good meal? Kaori smiled contentedly. I ordered the ingredients. They'll be here soon. Actually, the reason Kaori visited was mostly because she craved my cooking. Since she had one meal I made 4 years ago, she had been hooked. The stream was lively. Whoa, sounds like Sora's cooking is good. Top scorer, Waseda professor, and top-tier cooking? If this were my husband, I'd carry him on my back. In the control room, the director asked Miyuki, Is your husband's cooking that good? Miyuki gritted her teeth. Since we got married, this jerk entered the kitchen exactly once. The food tasted like pickles. Since then, I've never let him near the kitchen. Her comment made the stream wilder. I've never told anyone I'm a grade 2 chef. My wife does all the cooking now. Same here! But my chef's license was found by my wife the other day. Miyuki's face turned blue watching the comments. When we were dating, I gave him everything. No secrets, yet he hid so much from me. Fans teased Miyuki. Looking at her eyes, Sora is in big trouble. Fans were curious. They wanted to see my cooking skills. Not long after the doorbell rang, the ingredients had arrived. There isn't much time. I'll make a few simple dishes. Boiled cabbage and broth, wenzi tofu, lion's head meatballs, and dongpo pork. Okay, Kaori agreed happily. She wanted more banquet dishes, but time was short. I took the ingredients into the kitchen, washed them, and started on the wenzi tofu. I placed a block of tofu on the cutting board. This dish tests knife skills. I had to cut thousands of incredibly fine tofu strands. The stream went wild. That knife skill is legendary. Sora looks like a pro chef. In the control room, Miyuki was grinding her teeth. Though not a pro, after years of cooking, she could tell my skill was top-notch. The assistant joked, Now you know he can cook. He's been lying to you for years. How do you plan to handle this? Miyuki said with a straight face, After the show, I'll make him cook for the rest of his life. The fans laughed. Sora is doomed. Poor guy. He doesn't know his secret is out. I was busy in the kitchen, cutting tofu strands and then chicken. Kaori stood behind me, watching as if she were admiring a work of art. Old rules. I'll have the food ready before 10:30. And you must finish eating and leave before 11:30. My wife finishes work at 11:30. I know. Such a nag, Kari complained. The fans roared with laughter, acting like he's having an affair. If Miyuki saw this any other way, she'd definitely think he was cheating. In the control room, Miyuki was also amused. Afraid I'll come home, huh? Fine, I'll mess with him. Once he's done cooking, I'll call and tell him I'm on my way. The assistant laughed. That would be hilarious. In the kitchen, Kaori asked, Grandpa said the head chef of the state banquet once sparred with you and said your knife skills were 3 points better than his. I said while working, that happened. But saying I'm better is just the chef being humble. Our levels should be about equal. You're incredible, Kaori said, worshipping me. And so handsome too. We chatted while I worked. By 10:30, the dishes were done. They looked, smelled, and tasted exquisite. I handed Kaori a bowl of rice. Eat up and leave as soon as you're done. Kaori rolled her eyes. Your wife isn't coming back. Why are you so worried? I sipped some water. Even if she doesn't come for lunch, she sometimes comes back for a midday rest. Just eat and leave. Kaori took a bite. It's fine if Miyuki sees us. We're innocent. I glared at her. She has to believe that for it to matter. In the control room, Miyuki picked up her phone and called me. My phone rang, and I had a bad feeling, I answered, trying to sound calm. What's up, honey? Miyuki smirked. Honey, the office power went out? I'm getting off early today. I'll be home in 10 minutes. Wait for me to cook. I panicked. Okay, I'll wait for you. Hanging up, I looked at Kaori, who was eating happily. Stop eating! Miyuki is coming back in a few minutes. What? Kaori panicked. If Miyuki caught her eating with me alone, she'd never live it down. I couldn't care less. I grabbed some containers, dumped the food in, and shouted, Take it and go! Kaori grabbed them and scrambled to put on her shoes and leave. I quickly cleaned up the bowls, opened the window for ventilation, and finished washing in 3 minutes. After all that, I collapsed on the sofa, panting, and checked the time. I breathed a sigh of relief. Close one. Too dangerous. The fans in the chat were laughing their heads off. Miyuki and the director found it hilarious too. Miyuki laughed until she couldn't breathe, experiencing the thrill of revenge. But it wasn't enough. Miyuki picked up her phone again. A second later, I saw the incoming call and felt suspicious. What now? Miyuki sighed. The power is back on. The boss wants me to go back to work. My heart felt like 10,000 horses were trampling it, but I stayed calm. All right, I see. Miyuki laughed softly. Eat lunch by yourself, I'm hanging up. After hanging up, Miyuki pumped her fist in triumph. The audience roared with laughter. Sora must be so frustrated. All that hard work and the food is gone. Miyuki was very happy. Though I was innocent in bringing someone home, she was still angry. Now that she'd pranked me, her anger was halved. The director was also thrilled. The show was a hit with over 500,000 live viewers. The director said, We found so many secrets on day 1. Given today, there must be more to find in the next few days. Miyuki became curious. What else was I hiding that even Kaori didn't know? The top scorer and Professor Identities could be explained by me, not caring. The culinary master's secret could be because I didn't want to cook every day. But what else could I be hiding? Everyone began guessing. They were all wondering if I had other identities. Just then, I pulled out my phone, dialed a number, and put it on speaker on the table. The call connected, and a middle-aged man's voice came through. Professor Sora, what are your orders? I laughed. You're a CEO. What orders could I give you? The man replied respectfully, Don't say that. You're a real professor. Our company's success today is all thanks to your support. I smiled helplessly. Let's not talk about that. Same as usual, chat with me and then transfer 100,000 yen. The man asked curiously, Professor Sora, you're clearly very wealthy. Why don't you tell your wife? I didn't answer directly, but smiled. I'll tell her in a month. Then we won't need to pretend, the man laughed. If your wife knew how much you really had, she'd be shocked. We chatted for a bit and hung up. The stream exploded again. WTF! Looks like Sora's hidden identity is finally appearing. That was a CEO calling him with so much respect. Sora seems to be incredibly rich. Why would he hide money from his wife? The director was stunned. He thought the excitement would die down, but I just dropped a bombshell. The assistant looked at Misaki curiously and asked, "Misaki-san, have you ever checked Sora's bank account balance?" Misaki shook her head helplessly. She understood the situation. He hadn't worked for 5 years and had only been away for a few days at a time. He shouldn't have much money. At this moment, someone in the live stream chat posted, "What do Sora's parents do for a living? Is he a rich second generation heir?" Misaki saw the comment and replied, "My parents-in-law have only run a small supermarket for over 10 years, so it's impossible for my husband to be a rich heir." Misaki's words led the fans to suspect something else. Could it be ill-gotten gains? Think about why he would hide his life from his own wife. Maybe the money didn't come from a legitimate source. Misaki looked at the chat, her face turning pale. The assistant beside her quickly comforted her. "Don't listen to their nonsense. They are just guessing." The director on the side also chimed in, "I agree with Misaki. Sora's money must have been earned from that company." At this time, on the live stream, Sora was on the sofa watching TV, looking very relaxed. Suddenly, his phone rang. "Uncle Zhang, what made you think of calling me?" Uncle Zhang laughed on the phone. "Sora, I haven't seen you in a long time. Let's have a drink together tomorrow." I laughed. "Uncle Zhang, if you want to eat my cooking, just say so." "Ha ha ha, then I won't stand on ceremony." We chatted for several minutes before hanging up. On the other side, in the office of the chief of the Metropolitan Police Department in Edo City, Chief Zhang Jiangguo smiled faintly. Exploring the Other Half, an interesting program. At this moment, fans in the chat started posting again. Someone is visiting Sora tomorrow, and calling him Uncle Zhang. Will he, like that woman before, expose another one of Sora's identities? Misaki saw the comment and recalled for a moment. "I've never heard of an Uncle Zhang." The assistant was speechless. How many people do you actually know that Sora knows? Misaki thought about it. "I've met a few. He had a class reunion the year before last. I met about 20 of his classmates, but I can't remember what they look like anymore." The assistant slapped her forehead. "What about his friends? How many do you know?" Misaki said firmly, "One, but that person is currently abroad." After saying this, Misaki's face turned cold. The woman from before, Kaori, and now this Uncle Zhang on the phone, she didn't recognize either of them, and yet they seemed very familiar with Sora. Right then, the audience in the live stream started commenting, "Misaki, you poor thing. Your husband hides everything from you, his identity, his past, and the people he knows. You know nothing." Misaki looked at the chat, feeling a bit aggrieved. She was Sora's wife. She had given him her heart, but he hid everything from her. Time quickly reached the end of the workday. After saying goodbye to the director, Misaki drove home. After the assistant closed the stream, she hesitated and said to the director, "Director, live streaming often infringes on privacy. For example, we filmed that woman eating earlier. If she sues..." The director laughed. "The production team has already thought of those issues. We will handle it well." The assistant nodded gently and didn't say anything more. The next morning, as I was eating, I asked Misaki, "Are you coming back for lunch?" Hearing this, Misaki was speechless. She had already anticipated I would ask this. If she came home for lunch, Uncle Zhang wouldn't be able to visit. Remembering how she was asked this every few days, Misaki felt a flash of anger, but she replied calmly, "I won't be back for lunch." At this moment, countless fans were already waiting in the stream. Strange. Why is there something to hide here? Yeah, there's nothing to hide about normal friends coming over, right? The fans were very confused. In the live stream, I was on the phone. "Uncle Zhang, what time will you arrive?" Zhang Jiangguo laughed. "Around 10 o'clock. I have a few things to take care of." "Okay, no rush." After a few more words, I went to prepare ingredients. It wasn't until 9:30 that Zhang Jiangguo finished his work and headed out. After receiving instructions from his superiors yesterday, he investigated the Exploring the Other Half production team and found it was a brand new program. Furthermore, to increase Sora's mysterious allure, his superiors specifically asked him to appear on the stream. The chief guessed that his superiors wanted to expose Sora's identity through entertainment to draw more attention. But how did they know Exploring the Other Half was focusing on Sora? It seemed Sora didn't even know he was being streamed 24/7. As for his wife, she didn't know anything either. Could it be that the higher-ups had placed Sora under 24-hour protection? That seemed a bit unrealistic. After arriving at the destination, Zhang Jiangguo glanced at the black broadcast van downstairs and hurried upstairs. Not long after, Zhang Jiangguo appeared on the stream. I've been too busy lately. I haven't been able to come over for a meal in a long time. When I retire and am no longer the police chief, I'll come over to eat every day. As soon as these words were out, the live stream exploded. The chat was flying. Police chief? The identity of this, Uncle Zhang, made the director in the control room break out in a cold sweat. Filming without consent was illegal. The production team had expected this, intending to settle it with money. But in this situation, could money even solve it? The chat was overflowing. It's over, this show is probably going to be canceled. The director looked at the comments and then at Uncle Zhang on the screen. He panicked. What do I do? Cancel or continue? The loss of canceling is too big, but if we don't... After hesitating, the director gritted his teeth. I'll bear the consequences. This Uncle Zhang might not even be a real police chief. Fans in the stream heard the director and said, it's easy to check Uncle Zhang's identity. Information on people in positions like that is public. Just look it up online. Yes, I'll search for it right now. The director immediately went online and found it instantly, complete with a photo. The director looked at Uncle Zhang on the screen and then at Zhang Jiangguo's photo online. His face turned pale. WC, this Uncle Zhang is real. The director felt bitter. They said Sora was just a programmer. How could he know such a big shot? Masaki was completely confused. How could her husband know such a major figure, and why keep it from her? Masaki was also deeply puzzled. What secrets was her husband hiding? At this moment on the stream, I had already served the food. If you want to have my cooking in the future, you'll probably have to go to Tokyo. Zhang Jiangguo was eating happily and was stunned by my words. Why? I smiled. I plan to move to Tokyo, but I'll come back to visit every year. Zhang Jiangguo asked, puzzled, why move to Tokyo? Isn't it nice here? I smiled. It is nice. I didn't say much more. In fact, Zhang Jiangguo didn't even know my true identity. After my identity was made public next month, moving to Tokyo would be inevitable. It was mainly because the things I possessed made too many countries covet them. If I stayed in Edo, my family would be in danger. The livestream chat flooded. Sora is moving to Tokyo next month? Real estate in Tokyo is astronomically expensive. Buying a large house probably costs tens of millions. The assistant in the control room couldn't help but ask curiously, Masaki-san, are you going to live in Tokyo? Masaki was still in a daze, knowing nothing. Was this still her husband? Since the program started, she found him becoming more and more like a stranger. On the stream, Zhang Jiangguo savored the delicacies. The food you make is the best I've ever had. Even big restaurants can't compare. If you were a chef, you could make at least 50,000 a month. I laughed. Being a chef is too tiring. I want to spend more time with my wife. I've enjoyed these 5 years with Masaki very much. Now that my identity is about to be revealed, I have to throw myself into my work. Zhang Jiangguo ate and laughed. Your wife has no idea about your past, right? I nodded. I've hidden it well. It's mainly because Masaki is a bit of a romantic, and she trusts me unconditionally. Zhang Jiangguo joked, if Masaki knew you were the national top scorer in the entrance exams and an honorary professor at the Imperial University, would she be shocked? It's fine. Those 2 titles are mediocre. Zhang Jiangguo was speechless. Mediocre? But compared to his other status, they really were. Suddenly, Zhang Jiangguo remembered something. Do you plan to hide it from your wife forever? I shook my head. I'll tell her everything next month. Zhang Jiangguo asked hesitantly, does that matter need to be told to her too? I nodded. A look of confusion flashed in Zhang Jiangguo's eyes. 4 years ago, he had signed a non-disclosure agreement that prevented him from leaking the identity of the young man in front of him. At the time, he was very puzzled. Did this identity need to be hidden? After eating, Zhang Jiangguo patted me on the shoulder and laughed. Sora, we've known each other for 10 years. If you need any help, don't be shy to ask. After Uncle Zhang left, the stream became lively again. So the chief knows Sora because he was the national top scorer. But listening to just now, the chief clearly knows Sora's other identity. I thought he would say it out loud, my cursed curiosity. At this time, the director in the van was struggling with whether to stop Zhang Zhangguo and apologize. After agonizing for a while, he picked up the phone to call the investor. The program has encountered trouble. However, the director was interrupted before he could finish. I know, just do your job. I'll handle the rest. After hanging up, the director breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, Misaki in the control room stared at the screen, growing more lost. In the footage, I was lying on the sofa watching TV. I felt a bit bored, but going out to play without my wife wasn't interesting either. Coupled with the fact that, because of my identity, a group of people were protecting me in secret 24 hours a day, I felt uncomfortable. After thinking about it, I decided staying at home was better. Suddenly, my phone rang. I picked it up immediately. Elder Jiang. Elder Jiang on the other end laughed. My granddaughter says your place has beautiful scenery. I plan to visit tomorrow and have a few drinks with you. I smiled helplessly, thinking to myself, another one coming for a free meal. After hanging up, fans in the live stream were commenting, can't hear the voice on the other end, but Sora said he's going to the airport to pick someone up. Could it be another big shot? How can they all be big shots? If they were all big shots, it would be too surreal. Misaki in the control room was confused again. Is someone else coming to the house? The next morning, after another round of the same Q&A, Misaki left the house with a black face. In the elevator, Misaki felt a bit bitter. Although she had long anticipated I wouldn't talk about someone visiting today, she still felt hurt. At 10 a.m. at the Edo airport, an elderly man in traditional attire and full of vitality appeared in the lobby, accompanied by a middle-aged man in a suit. Uncle Zhang! At this time, a tall figure ran toward them. The old man saw the figure and couldn't help but laugh. Been in Edo for 5 days. Have you been over to Sora's for free meals these past few days? The tall figure was speechless. I only went once, and his wife suddenly wanted to come home. I was so scared I didn't even eat. I just grabbed the takeout box and ran. Kaori recalled that day and felt speechless. It felt like an affair. The old man laughed loudly. Let's go! Let's go to Sora's house! He's probably busy in the kitchen right now. Cory was even more speechless. Grandpa, why didn't you tell me sooner? I've already booked a restaurant and my best friend is waiting there. Elder Jiang paused and thought for a moment. Then why don't you go eat with your friend? Kaori wanted to vomit blood. Then let me drop you and Uncle Zhang off at Sora's house first. Half an hour later, Kaori dropped her grandfather and Uncle Zhang off downstairs at my place and left. At this moment, fans in the stream were boredly scrolling. What about the guest? Why haven't they arrived yet? I've been waiting until my flowers faded. They had been watching Sora cook and wanted to know who the visitor was, but there wasn't a shadow of a person. The assistant saw the comments and laughed. Everyone wait a bit longer. It's almost 11 o'clock, they should be here soon. Right at this moment, a knock sounded. They heard the knocking on the stream, and immediately after, I walked out of the kitchen. The fans in the live stream were instantly energized. I've been waiting since 8 a.m., finally. The people in the control room were also energized. Everyone focused on the screen, and 2 people slowly appeared. The elderly man in traditional clothes looked very extraordinary, and the middle-aged man in the suit didn't look like an ordinary person either. Professor Sora, long time no see. Ichiro Sato looked restrained after seeing me. Fans in the stream mocked. This man looks like a successful person. Isn't he lowering his posture a bit too much in front of Sora? In the control room, the assistant looked at the middle-aged man and felt he looked familiar but couldn't remember why. Misaki stared at the screen curiously, feeling that this middle-aged man was behaving like a subordinate before a superior. I saw Ichiro Sato's posture and was helpless. Don't be like this. You're 20 years older than me and a chairman managing tens of thousands of people. Why are you always like this? The stream exploded. WC, this man is a chairman managing tens of thousands of people? How big is this company? The assistant was stunned. What kind of professor can make a company chairman bow? As for Misaki, she was even more stunned. She only knew her husband was mysterious, but seeing a chairman bow to me, her heart was impacted. In the footage, Ichiro Sato's expression was still very restrained. He looked at me with complex eyes. In his heart, I was not only a person he admired, but also a benefactor to his whole family. 4 years ago, his daughter got cancer. Doctor said she wouldn't live a year. As a father, he watched his daughter get sick and felt helpless. He was frantic, and just at that moment, he received news that gave him hope, saying a medical trial was looking for 100 patients to test a drug. The trial was aimed at cancer patients, so he took his daughter to participate. After the drug treatment, his daughter's illness miraculously healed. The cancer cells were completely cleared in half a month. Later, he learned the person who conquered cancer was called Sora, and the mass production of the cancer drug was taking place in his company. Since then, he had been in contact with me. Ichiro Sato looked at me seriously and said, "Professor Sora, thank you for saving my daughter." I was helpless. "You have to thank me every time we meet." Fans in the stream were crying out, so this man lowered his posture to Sora because Sora saved his daughter. Ichiro Sato looked at me seriously. "Professor Sora, if it weren't for you conquering cancer back then, my daughter might have passed away 3 years ago. You saved my daughter. You are the benefactor of my whole family." Ichiro Sato's words instantly ignited the stream. Conquered cancer? Really? How old was Sora 4.5 years ago? Fans couldn't believe it. They only remembered a shocking announcement 4 years ago. Cancer had been conquered. All types of cancer. When the news was announced, the whole world was shocked. The Ryukoku, Dragon Country people, were even more proud and happy because the one who conquered cancer was one of their own. The only regret was that it wasn't disclosed who exactly had conquered cancer, and now, telling them that it was Sora, it was simply too unbelievable. Misaki was confused. Her husband conquered cancer? How did she not know? Especially since she had been married to me for 5 years. Although I had been away a few times, I was at home most of the time. Where would I have had time to research cancer? It's not like I could research it at home. The chat was still flying. Users questioned if it was a staged effect by the production team. The director patted his chest in assurance. "Everyone rest assured, we definitely didn't hire an actor. Even if our production team were powerful, we wouldn't be able to hire a police chief. You're overestimating me." Fans heard the director and pondered. The director had a point. So how to prove cancer was conquered by Sora? I listened to Ichiro Sato and said helplessly, "I am a researcher. That is my job." Ichiro Sato still said seriously, "Regardless, you are my benefactor." I waved my hand. "Let's not talk about this." I made 2 cups of tea and handed them over, laughing. "How many days do you plan to stay?" The old man took a sip of tea and laughed helplessly. "At most 3 days. I am still the chancellor of the Imperial University after all. When I retire, I'll go wherever I want." At this moment, the live stream went completely silent. Everyone hadn't yet reacted to the old man's words. The director in the control room was also shocked and started to panic. If this really was the chancellor of the Imperial University, then he was truly doomed, broadcasting the man without his consent. The next second, the director ran to the computer like a madman and started typing. It wasn't just the director. Countless fans were also searching. The information was completely public and easy to find. In less than half a minute, fans looking at the data felt their scalps tingling. It's real! This old man really is the chancellor of the Imperial University. The assistant was also shocked. She never thought she would be able to broadcast such a big shot. Misaki covered her mouth subconsciously. The chancellor of the Imperial University was this familiar with her husband? The director's mood was different from the others. Aside from shock, there was mostly fear. Uncle Zhang had already scared him, but today's old man had scared his soul away. The director hurriedly called the investor, stuttering in his fear. Chancellor of the Imperial University. He was cut off before he could finish. "I know. Keep streaming. I'm watching the stream." The director breathed a sigh of relief, but still uncertain. Asked, "The other person is the Chancellor of the Imperial University. Is it really okay?" The other end replied calmly, "I said it's okay. It's okay. You don't need to worry about that." "Okay." The director hung up with trembling hands while inwardly wondering, does the investor really have that much power? At this moment, the chat. "I feel like cancer really might have been conquered by Sora." Think about the stream these past few days. The people visiting all seem to know Sora's other identity. This old man's identity is confirmed, so it should also indirectly confirm that Sora conquered cancer. We were chatting while eating. At this time, Ichiro Sato stood up, raised his glass, and looked at me. "Professor Sora, thank you again for saving my daughter. I toast you." I stood up helplessly and clinked glasses with Ichiro Sato. I also toasted Ichiro Sato. "I haven't caused you little trouble over these years, always making you collude with me to lie to my wife." Ichiro Sato laughed. Fans in the stream heard our conversation and couldn't help but remember the chat I had with a mysterious chairman on WeChat. So that person was this middle-aged man. Haha, Masaki's being lied to so badly. Masaki in the control room was in a daze. So for all these years, her husband had been chatting with this chairman and lying to her for 5 years. Right then I looked at Ichiro Sato and asked, "Are you and Elder Jiang staying in Edo for 3 days?" Ichiro Sato shook his head slightly. "I'm going back tomorrow afternoon. The company still has many things to handle. When I resign as the chairman of Dongshilia Group, I can come and keep you company often." Ichiro Sato's words piqued the fans' curiosity. Elder Jiang's identity had been exposed, but Ichiro Sato's hadn't. Everyone went online to search for chairman of Dongshilia Group. The director also immediately searched online, typing while shivering in fear, praying it wouldn't be another big shot. 30 seconds later, the director's face turned white. The chairman of Dongshilia Pharmaceutical Group is named Ichiro Sato. The data included a photo of Ichiro Sato. The director was trembling all over. This was another big shot level figure. How was he so unlucky? He wanted a simple exploration show, and the big shots he encountered were all untouchable. He wanted to call the investor, but thinking about how the investor's father had been watching the stream, if they were to cancel, he would definitely call. Only then did he feel a bit more at ease. The assistant and Masaki were also looking at the data and were very shocked. Everyone visiting Sora was a big shot. The assistant said, "The cancer drug produced by Dongshilia Pharmaceutical is exactly the one disclosed 4 years ago." Fans in the stream also realized it, and their hearts shook fiercely. This means cancer really was conquered by Sora. Sora, I am truly impressed. 4 years ago, cancer was conquered, and Sora was only 24? Amazing! The fans marveled. Masaki was also very shocked. Her husband was actually this capable. In the live stream, the 3 of us continued to chat. Elder Jiang looked at me with full appreciation and praised. "I've lived for most of my life, and it's the first time I've met such a capable young man. 24 years old, and you've already conquered cancer. There aren't many in your age group who are so single-minded in scientific research." I shook my head. Everyone has their own ambitions. Everyone has different ideals. Some want to make money, some want fame, others want to live a simple life. At the Research Institute, there are quite a few who are just as single-minded as me. Elder Jiang nodded. Then he asked curiously, "What is your ideal?" I smiled slightly, my expression becoming serious and my tone firm. "My ideal is simple. I want everyone to be able to afford medical treatment. I want humanity to no longer be tortured by disease. I want to..." My last sentence wasn't fully spoken. Halfway through, I realized the rest couldn't be said to Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato. They only knew I had conquered cancer. They didn't know about my other research achievements. Before getting permission from my superiors, I couldn't reveal a single word. Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato heard my words, their expressions becoming serious and their eyes filled with awe. In this day and age, how many people's ideals were to make medical care affordable for everyone, to fight for humanity's freedom from pain? In an instant, I became great in their hearts. Think about those capitalists doing scientific research for drugs just to make money. Some were even more heinous, clearly able to develop drugs that could cure diseases quickly, but choosing to create ones with long treatment times and slow effects. Capital was just for money. At this moment, the live stream had 700,000 viewers. Hearing what I said, they felt a sense of respect, a heartfelt reverence. Some of the brainless star-chasing audience felt they had been too foolish. Why were they only chasing stars before? A silent researcher like Sora was the one they should be chasing. The assistant in the control room was also moved. She looked at Masaki. "Masaki-san, you must treat Professor Sora well so the professor can work with peace of mind." The director agreed. Yes, people like Professor Sora need a virtuous wife to take better care of him. The fans heard the director and assistant and flooded the chat. "Professor Sora works for the good of all mankind. You've worked hard to take care of him, Masaki-san." Masaki was speechless. She had intended to serve her mysterious husband well tonight, but now that everyone was saying this, she felt it was a bit weird. Masaki laughed. "Everyone rest assured, even if you didn't say it, I would take good care of my husband." A live stream chat flooded in response. "That's good, we trust you. I'll teach you how to serve Professor Sora. Buy a few sets of stylish clothes like a nurse or a fairy." Ha ha ha, the user above, you are really vulgar, but I like it. While countless fans were glued to the stream, some people were quietly making phone calls. Bruce, I know who conquered cancer. The foreign man on the other end hurriedly asked, Who is it? The man calling raised the corner of his mouth. 500,000 into my account, and I'll tell you immediately. Bruce said slowly, I hope you are telling the truth, otherwise you know the consequences. The man laughed. Don't worry, it's absolutely true. Less than a minute later, the man's phone received a deposit notification. Immediately, the man smiled into the phone. His name is Sora, 28 years old, living in the Edo City, So province. Use a short video app to search for the program, Exploring the Other Half, and you'll know by watching the live stream. Bruce's voice turned cold. 28 years old? Do you think I'm an idiot? A 28-year-old can conquer cancer? Bruce felt he had been cheated. The netizen replied plainly, I'm telling the truth. If you don't believe me, go see for yourself. Then he hung up. In the stream, 700,000 fans paid tribute. Professor Sora is the good fortune of Dragon Country, the good fortune of the people. Professor Sora is mighty. But while countless fans were excited, some secret foreign organization liaisons were busy making calls. Soon, orders were sent out from all over the world. However, I, who was drinking and chatting with Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato, was completely unaware. After 3 rounds of drinks, Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato were a bit tipsy. The strong liquor they drank was now hitting them. Seeing they were getting high, I quickly stood up, took 3 pills from a drawer and handed one to each of them. What kind of medicine is this? The two asked me in surprise. I laughed. This is a hangover capsule. It can eliminate the alcohol in the human body within half an hour. Hearing this, Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato looked at me in shock. You mean eating this pill can completely sober you up in half an hour? I nodded. Just about. WC! The two were shocked. There was actually a hangover pill with such a powerful effect? The chat flew again. Such an amazing medicine. Please, I need this medicine. I work in the nightlife industry and vomit from drinking every day. In the control room, the assistant and the director also had eyes full of light. Such an amazing hangover pill. They both had many social obligations and often needed to drink. If this anti-hangover medicine exists, doesn't that mean one can drink as much as one wants? For a moment, everyone wanted to know where this capsule could be bought. Elder Jiang looked at me in shock, asking somewhat uncertainly, Is this anti-hangover medicine something you developed? Just something I tinkered with when I had free time. Oh, people with the status of Ichiro Sato and Elder Jiang usually wouldn't use such informal expressions, but at this moment, these 2 words were the only way to express the shock in their hearts. The fans in the livestream were also speechless. A little toy tinkered with in his spare time? If this were mass-produced, who knows how many people would scramble for it? How much money could this make? Professor Sora is incredible. Among the fans, there were several pharmaceutical company bosses. Upon hearing the powerful effects of the anti-hangover capsule, they all started to scheme. If they could get their hands on the formula, the profits would be astronomical. In the control room, the assistant asked excitedly, Misaki-san, can you sell me a few? Misaki was also stunned. Her husband had not only conquered cancer, but could also tinker with anti-hangover medicine in his spare time, and it seemed so easy for him. She knew very well that once such a drug hit the shelves, the sales volume would be immense. Misaki-san. Seeing Misaki lost in thought, the assistant called out again. Misaki snapped back to reality. I'll look for some when I get home. If there are any left, I'll bring them to you tomorrow morning. The director on the side also said bashfully, I'd like a few pills too. Misaki laughed. Sure, I'll look for them when I get home tonight. The live stream chat started scrolling. I want some too. Me too. Misaki looked at the chat and spread her hands helplessly. I can't help it. I don't think there's much left at home. Upon hearing this, the audience strongly demanded, we strongly suggest bringing the anti-hangover capsule to market. Yes, bring it to market early. It would definitely be a benefit to humanity. Hospitals need this kind of medicine too. Some people are almost dying from drinking. If they took this capsule, the chance of survival would be very high. Misaki looked at the chat and said, my husband would have to agree to that, and the program is still ongoing, ending only at the end of the month. My husband doesn't even know about the live stream yet. I'll mention it to him next month. The audience became curious. Speaking of which, many people already know about Professor Sora conquering cancer. I guess in a couple of days, the professor will realize he's being streamed 24/7, right? In the control room, the director watched the chat and laughed. For a short time, the professor won't know about the live stream. Our stream has blocked local users, meaning viewers in this city can't see our broadcast for the time being. Someone in the chat immediately asked, "Then what if news pops up on a browser, or the professor sees it on TV news?" The director's heart skipped a beat upon seeing this comment. Yes, the person who conquered cancer being exposed, such a big deal would definitely be on TV. If it were on TV, it couldn't be hidden, and this season of the program would be unable to continue. However, upon reflection, since they had already explored such a powerful identity, there probably wasn't much left to expose anyway. Thinking of this, the director laughed. If the professor finds out, it just means our first season has ended. At this moment on the stream, I was stunned by Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato's reaction. I poured them both a glass of water. 10 minutes later, Elder Jiang said in shock, "I feel like I've sobered up a lot." "Me too," Ichiro Sato nodded. Elder Jiang gave me a thumbs up. "Professor Sora, you are the best." I felt incredibly embarrassed. This anti-hangover capsule was insignificant compared to the cancer drug. Ichiro Sato looked at me and asked, "Professor Sora, do you have any plans to mass-produce the anti-hangover capsules?" I nodded. They can be mass-produced. There are many uses for this kind of drug. However, we'll discuss the specific collaboration next month. Ichiro Sato replied happily, Okay, no rush. I'll follow your lead." Fans in the live stream heard that the anti-hangover capsules were going to be mass-produced, and they couldn't help but rejoice. A girl working in nightlife said excitedly, "Finally! I don't have to drink until I vomit every day. I'm a businessman with too many social commitments. I once drank until I had a perforated stomach and almost died. Once the capsules are on the market, I'm buying 100 boxes." In the live stream, I was chatting with Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato until my phone rang at 1 p.m. I took a glance and answered, "Chairman Shen, what made you call me?" Chairman Shen on the other end laughed. "Professor Sora, I just got off the plane and happen to have some official business near your area. I'd like to visit you tomorrow if it's convenient." I was speechless. What was going on these days? Visitors every day? Now the chairman of Seiko Pharmaceutical was coming too. I had to cook every day, but there was no helping it. Guests are guests. I could only reply helplessly, "It's convenient. Come on over. Elder Jiang and Chairman Jiang are here too." The other end sounded confused. "Elder Jiang? Chairman Jiang?" I smiled. "Elder Jiang is the chancellor of the Imperial University. You should know Chairman Jiang, the chairman of Dongxia Pharmaceutical." Hearing this, Kenji Tanaka on the other end said in surprise, "Ichiro Sato is there too? Then I'll come to visit you tomorrow morning." After hanging up, Ichiro Sato asked curiously, "Who was that?" I laughed helplessly. "Your peer, Kenji Tanaka. You should know him, right?" Ichiro Sato laughed. "Oh, it's him. We are old acquaintances." The next second, Ichiro Sato saw my helpless expression and asked, "Professor Sora, what's wrong?" "It's just that after I married my wife, I kept telling her I didn't know how to cook, but it turns out I've been cooking non-stop these past few days." Ichiro Sato immediately said, "Why don't we go to a hotel tomorrow? That way you won't be exhausted." Forget it. Guests are guests. I have to entertain properly. Hotel food isn't as good as my cooking anyway. It's nice to chat and catch up at home. Elder Jiang laughed. "Then this old man will have a treat tomorrow too." We chatted until 5 p.m. Only when Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato knew Masaki was about to get off work did they hurry away. I sat on the sofa, slowly savoring the large red envelope Elder Jiang had given me. Then my phone rang again. I checked the caller ID. Dean Lee. I answered directly. "Dean Lee, is there something wrong?" Dean Lai on the other end laughed. "Professor Sora, I'm officially notifying you of something. I hope you can prepare yourself mentally." I became serious. "What notification?" Dean Lai's voice grew solemn. "I received instructions from the higher-ups. At the beginning of next month, along with the announcement of your identity, your latest scientific research achievements will also be made public." The chat flooded again. Who is Professor Sora talking to? Why does he look so serious? I'm so anxious not being able to hear what the other side is saying. I felt like Professor Sora's identity had already been fully exposed, but now it feels like it hasn't. There shouldn't be any other identities, right? No matter how brilliant the professor is, age is a factor. Actually, the fans felt there couldn't be any more hidden identities, as the ones already exposed were powerful enough. Continuing to watch the stream was just to see how Misaki would serve me when she got home tonight, to see if she would buy any provocative outfits. Misaki in the control room had already thought about how to serve her husband and couldn't wait to get home. She now had an urge to worship her husband. Unfortunately, it wasn't 5:30 yet. Misaki felt time was dragging. Every second was agony. The fans seemed to sense Misaki's eagerness and started teasing her. "Misaki, looking at you, you seem like you can't wait to get home? Ha ha ha, does Misaki adore Professor Sora especially much now? Is she in a high mood?" Misaki bit her lip, trying to make her expression more natural. "You guys are overthinking it. I'm just thinking about cooking a few more dishes when I get home." The fans didn't believe it. Misaki wanting to go home early probably meant she missed the professor. In the stream, I was sitting on the sofa, drinking tea and looking at my phone. I felt something was off. It felt like something was missing at home. My brows furrowed. The feeling became stronger. What was missing at home? I sipped my tea while frowning, but as I swallowed, my face changed. "Oh my God, I'm done for! My kid!" I slammed the cup down and stood up. I went to pick up my daughter from kindergarten at 3:30 every day, and now it was past 5 o'clock. I hurriedly picked up my phone to call the teacher. Only then did I see the message my wife had sent. Grandma went to pick up the daughter. She's staying at Grandma's house tonight. Seeing that, I let out a long sigh of relief. I quickly sent a message back to Misaki. The fans in the live stream saw my sudden change in expression. Something important must have happened. Then they saw me pick up my phone, looking eager to contact someone. The fans were curious. After watching for these days, Sora's emotions have been very stable. Why is he so flustered now? What happened to Professor Sora? Who is he messaging? It looks like something big happened. Misaki received my message. She felt speechless. She actually knew I would forget to pick up the daughter. Fortunately, she had contacted her mother in the afternoon to have her pick up the child. She had intended to serve her husband well tonight, and having the child there would have been inconvenient. Misaki looked at the chat and explained, "Sora sent me a message because he forgot to pick up the child from school." The audience laughed. "Is this daughter really yours? Where is the child now? You should call the teacher, right?" Misaki laughed. "The child was picked up by my parents. She's staying at Grandma's house tonight." Upon hearing this, the fans reacted even more strongly. "I get it. Ha ha ha. It looks like there's going to be a storm tonight." Misaki, seeing the fans teasing her, didn't blush unexpectedly. She just turned to the director and said, "I'll block the camera when I get home." The director laughed. "Sure." The assistant gave a look that said, "I understand." 5:40 p.m. Seeing my wife return, I quickly stood up from the sofa. Grandpa and Grandma missed their granddaughter? Misaki didn't answer me, just giggled, and then pressed the blocker on her bag. The live stream feed disappeared instantly. The fans complained, "It's gone already. Do you think I don't have the money to watch the rest?" Seeing this, the assistant joked, "All right, everyone, let's disperse. It's been a day and everyone is tired. Let's call it a day here. See you tomorrow." Then the stream closed. At this moment, Misaki hugged me tightly. I immediately sensed something was wrong, seemingly realizing why my mother-in-law had taken the child away. "Husband, I missed you." Misaki's voice was soft, and the way she looked at me was full of intense affection. "What happened?" I felt bewildered. Misaki didn't reply. She simply kissed me. The readers probably don't like to read the content below, so the author has watched it on your behalf. It wasn't until 7 p.m. that I crawled out of bed. Misaki was in a good mood. "You rest for a bit, I'll go cook." And I sat on the sofa, confused. What was up with my wife today? Like a hungry wolf. The next morning, after breakfast, Misaki kissed me. "Husband, I'm going to work." I stroked her head and laughed. "Go ahead, I'll miss you." After closing the door, I sat on the sofa holding my waist, recalling the scene from yesterday evening and this morning, and I couldn't help but think about developing a new medicine. After going out, Misaki immediately unblocked the camera. There were already 300,000 people waiting. Upon seeing me, the fans flooded the chat. "Professor Sora, you must be exhausted from last night, right? What man wouldn't want this kind of exhaustion? Envied, envied." In the control room, the assistant looked at Misaki, who was in a good mood, and teased, "Misaki-san, you look great today. What kind of tonic did you eat?" The audience also started jeering. Misaki didn't answer but took her phone and sent another message. "Mom, please pick up the kid again this afternoon. Let her stay at your place for these 2 days." As soon as the message was sent, her mother replied in seconds. "What happened between you and Sora? Did you guys have a fight?" Misaki blushed and replied, "No fight, just wanted to let the kids stay at your place for 2 days. Hearing this, the mother understood immediately. "You're not young anymore. If you want a second child, get to it." Misaki was speechless. Although she felt embarrassed, she still picked up her phone and sent 7 messages. "Husband, do you want a son?" Upon receiving the message, I was shocked. "You want a second child?" "Yes, I want another one. It'll be more lively at home." Seeing her say this, I laughed and replied, "Okay, good husband. Then I'll tell Mom to keep our daughter there for a few days." Hearing her say that, I felt my body weaken. Okay, after finalizing the second child plan, I picked up my phone and called Elder Jiang. "Elder Jiang, why don't you and Chairman Jiang come over for some breakfast?" Elder Jiang laughed. "We've already eaten breakfast. Ichiro Sato and I are coming over now. See you soon." Okay, I hung up after replying. After putting away my phone, I went to the kitchen to get busy. Not long after, Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato arrived. I finished making tea and looked at Elder Jiang laughing. "Kaori didn't come?" Elder Jiang laughed. "She thinks we're too old and finds it weird to eat with me. She went off to play with her best friend." I felt speechless. I'm a young person too, aren't I? Ichiro Sato, who was on the side, laughed and chimed in. "I called Kenji Tanaka before coming here. He'll probably be here soon." Ichiro Sato then asked curiously, "Professor Sora, how do you know Kenji Tanaka?" I smiled. "I met Kenji Tanaka at a banquet. He's here on official business and dropped by to see me." Actually, Kenji Tanaka, like Ichiro Sato, was a leader in domestic pharmaceutical giants. I met him because another drug I developed was being produced at his company. It was still in a confidential stage, so I couldn't say much, but all of this would be made public on the 1st of next month. Ichiro Sato nodded, still a bit suspicious. He had spoken to Kenji Tanaka yesterday, and Kenji Tanaka also said he was here for business and would drop by to visit Sora. But he always felt Kenji Tanaka was acting weird and couldn't put his finger on why. About 10 minutes later, there was a knock. It had to be Kenji Tanaka. Ichiro Sato smiled and stood up. I smiled and opened the door. Appearing before us was a middle-aged man in a suit. "Professor Sora, long time no see." Kenji Tanaka reached out his right hand excitedly, as his left hand was carrying 2 gift boxes of ginseng. I shook his hand and laughed. "It has been a long time. Come in and sit down. I just brewed a pot of da hong pao." Kenji Tanaka was stunned. Da hong pao? He had only drunk it once, and that was by someone else's grace. After Kenji Tanaka greeted Ichiro Sato, he looked at Elder Jiang. "Let me introduce you. This is the Chancellor of the Imperial University, Successful Jiang, Elder Jiang." Upon hearing this, Kenji Tanaka hurriedly stepped forward to shake hands. "Hello, Elder Jiang. My name is Kenji Tanaka, Chairman of Seiko Pharmaceutical." Elder Jiang smiled. "I already heard about you from Chairman Zhang yesterday." The fans in the stream were amazed, but not overly shocked. After all, Professor Sora had conquered cancer. Getting to know a chairman wasn't that strange. In the stream, the 4 of us tasted the da hong pao and chatted. Kenji Tanaka looked at Ichiro Sato curiously. "Old Jiang, how do you know Professor Sora?" Ichiro Sato laughed. "I also met him at a banquet." Ichiro Sato didn't tell Kenji Tanaka the real reason. The reason was simple. Before getting permission from the higher-ups, he couldn't reveal a single word. Kenji Tanaka nodded. "Last night I told you I met Professor Sora at a banquet. Actually, that was a lie." Ichiro Sato frowned. "Why did you lie to me?" Kenji Tanaka then showed a mysterious smile. "Because I signed a non-disclosure agreement. Concerning Professor Sora, I cannot reveal a single word." "Chairman Shen," I interrupted him before he could finish. The next second, Kenji Tanaka saw me frowning and was stunned. What was going on? Professor Sora seemed completely unaware of the situation. Actually, around 8 p.m. last night, Kenji Tanaka had received a call from the higher-ups, stating that the non-disclosure agreement from a few years ago had expired. If the higher-ups had no objections, why was Professor Sora, Could it be the higher-ups hadn't notified him yet? Ichiro Sato and Elder Jiang heard the mention of the non-disclosure agreement and saw my serious expression. Both immediately thought of something. Kenji Tanaka signed a non-disclosure agreement related to Professor Sora. Kenji Tanaka is the chairman of Seiko Pharmaceutical, which is mass-producing 2 drugs that have shocked the world. One is an HIV vaccine, and the other is a special drug for AIDS. The developer of these 2 drugs has not been disclosed. Could it be? Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato's hearts trembled fiercely. Professor Sora is simply too terrifying. The 2 looked at me, then at Kenji Tanaka. Although they were curious, they understood that if they knew things they shouldn't, it would be a trouble for them as well. Kenji Tanaka was still stunned, looking at me uncertainly. Professor Sora, you haven't received the notification yet? I frowned. I did receive a notification yesterday, but it had nothing to do with this. Kenji Tanaka saw my reaction and confirmed I was still in the dark, so he said directly, at 8 p.m. last night, I received a call from the higher-ups saying that the matter of you conquering AIDS can now be disclosed. The previous non-disclosure agreement is over. Kenji Tanaka's words exploded like thunder in the ears of Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato. What? The one who conquered AIDS is also Sora? In the live stream, the chat was flying everywhere. Countless fans were paralyzed by Kenji Tanaka's words. You have to know that AIDS and cancer are both world problems. Cancer is slightly better. At least early and mid-stage cancer have a chance to be cured, and miracles can happen even in late-stage cancer. AIDS is completely different. HIV is the most primitive and simplest virus, and precisely for this reason, it has the possibility of infinite replication and mutation. Over 200 types of AIDS vaccines have appeared in the past, but after clinical trials, they all ended in failure. Ryukoku officially announced a major bombshell. AIDS had been completely conquered. Initially, many people were skeptical, but in the following period, one patient after another was cured, and the voices of doubt gradually disappeared. Damn, does it have to be this explosive? AIDS was also conquered by Professor Sora? Holy crap, that's too awesome! I'm paralyzed. Is there really such a capable person in the world? In the control room, the assistant and the director were also shocked to the core. Sora was just too over-the-top amazing. Masaki's mouth hadn't closed for a long time. The director on the side was already searching online. He mainly checked Kenji Tanaka's identity. From current circumstances, Kenji Tanaka is indeed the helmsman of Seiko Pharmaceutical. He checked further. The AIDS vaccine and special drug were indeed produced by Seiko Pharmaceutical, and the photo of Kenji Tanaka on the net was exactly the same as the one in the stream. That is to say, AIDS was truly conquered by Sora. Director Zhang said to the fans, I checked Kenji Tanaka's records. He is indeed the chairman of Seiko Pharmaceutical, and the AIDS vaccine and special drug were also produced by them. In other words, AIDS was truly conquered by Sora. From today on, I am a fanatical fan of Professor Sora. Whoever dares to scold him, I will chase them and scold them until they... Too awesome! I'm convinced. Professor Sora is truly a genius of the age. Fanatical comments flew in the stream. In the footage, Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato were shaken to the core. Elder Jiang said stubbornly, Professor Sora, you are too amazing. At this moment, successful Jiang felt completely conquered. Although he was the chancellor of the Imperial University and had made certain academic contributions compared to Sora's research achievements, his contributions were not worth mentioning. Ichiro Sato's eyes were also filled with thick admiration. Seeing their expressions, I felt a bit sweaty. Don't be like this. Be calm. Elder Jiang shook his head repeatedly, hands trembling as he grasped mine. I hurriedly helped Elder Jiang sit down. Elder Jiang, don't be too excited, it's bad for your health. Although I conquered AIDS, I'm not that great. I also achieved this on the basis of countless predecessors. If we really talk about it, it wasn't my merit alone. I just stood on the shoulders of my predecessors to complete the final step. Elder Jiang shook his head after hearing this. Professor Sora, you are too humble. Even though past researchers mastered a lot of data, why couldn't they conquer AIDS? Why was it only you who conquered AIDS? I was speechless. Elder Jiang's emotions gradually stabilized, and the group drank tea while chatting. At this time, Ichiro Sato looked at me curiously. Professor Sora, can you tell us about your experience in conquering AIDS? Hearing this, 700,000 ears in the live stream perked up. I sipped my tea and said leisurely, when this project first started, I consulted a lot of data in this area. Then I had people arrange 10 patients. I observed the virus in their bodies and found that the HIV virus's replication speed and mutation speed exceeded my imagination. After the human immune system recognizes the virus, it must produce antigens to attack the virus. By the time the antigens are produced, the virus has already mutated. Then, a vicious cycle. Later, the immune system is destroyed, and the reaction becomes slower and slower, while the replication and mutation speed of the virus is still very fast. Finally, the immune system is completely captured. The three were listening seriously, and I was talking slowly, just like casual chatter. In simple terms, it's to strengthen the human immune system so that the speed at which the immune system recognizes the virus exceeds the speed of viral replication and mutation. At that time, the development of the drug was based on this approach. The development approach for vaccines is somewhat different from the development approach for drugs. The HIV virus mutates randomly, without rules. At that time, it also took a lot of effort. Professor Sora, you are truly too amazing. Elder Jiang looked at me in shock. I waved my hand helplessly. Let's not talk about this. Let's talk about something else. I was getting a little scared of Elder Jiang's habit of exclaiming in shock. At this moment in the stream, the comments started surging again. Professor Sora is too humble. It's hard to imagine that someone who conquered 2 major world diseases is so humble. If it were me, I'd probably be arrogant beyond measure. I love this Professor Sora. Indeed, people who are humble but powerful are still proud to the bone. If someone said Professor Sora is inferior in his professional field, I guess the professor's arrogance would manifest then. Awesome, brother. Speaking of which, there are over 1 million of us in this stream. Anyone here ever had AIDS? Right at this moment, some people posted, I had it. It's no big deal, it's already cured. More than can be said in tears. 10 years ago, I went out and met a very proactive woman. I thought it was my lucky day, but later I found out that woman was an AIDS patient out for revenge on society. If it weren't for Professor Sora, my life would have been ruined. I had a similar experience to the person above. I advise everyone to be careful when going out. If you're not very handsome and not very rich, and you meet a woman who is very proactive after knowing you for a short time, you really have to be careful. But now that AIDS can be cured, it doesn't matter much. You guys are lucky. I'm even worse. I went to an internet cafe to play, and as soon as I sat down, I felt like I was poked by something. I stood up and saw a bloody needle. The 1 million+ people in the stream suddenly fell silent, all looking at the comments from those who had had AIDS, paying tribute to Professor Sora. Following those posting tribute comments, many followed suit, and the screen started scrolling again. In the control room, the secretary exclaimed, Masaki, your husband is too amazing. At this moment on the stream, Elder Jiang's phone suddenly rang. He glanced at the phone and answered it with a serious expression. The person on the other end said, the non-disclosure agreement you signed 4 years ago is now void. The data can now be made public. Elder Jiang said after hearing this, I understand. Just after Elder Jiang hung up the phone, Ichiro Sato's phone also rang. Ichiro Sato walked aside with a serious expression to answer it. 2 minutes later, after Ichiro Sato hung up and sat on the sofa, my phone rang again. I noticed the caller ID was Minister Zhang, so I stood up and walked aside to answer. Minister Zhang. The minister went straight to the point. Professor Sora, you no longer need to keep your development of the cancer and AIDS treatments confidential. I frowned. Do these 2 things need to be officially announced right now? Minister Zhang replied, we will officially announce it in the media on November 1st. Elder Jiang looked at me. I just received a call from above saying your cancer research can be made public. The non-disclosure agreement is void. Kenji Tanaka, standing nearby, changed his expression abruptly and looked at Elder Jiang in shock. Was the cancer treatment developed by Professor Sora? Elder Jiang chuckled. Ichiro Sato and I have known for a long time that Professor Sora conquered cancer. If you hadn't come today, I probably wouldn't even know he conquered AIDS. At this moment, the fans in the live stream started chatting. Seeing the 3 of us receive calls one after another and hearing about non-disclosure agreements, they realized that Sora's identity had been kept secret until now. You seem to be in big trouble. Professor Sora didn't tell Masaki about the cancer and AIDS treatments because he must have signed a non-disclosure agreement. Now the program is streaming Professor Sora 24/7. The production team is definitely in trouble. How many years in prison will the director get for this? The discussion among the fans turned the director pale. The secretary on the side also realized the severity of the situation after seeing the chat. Didn't they say these two things don't need to be kept secret anymore? It should be fine. Seeing the director and secretary terrified, Misaki tried to comfort them, though she felt uneasy herself. I'm going out for a smoke. The director walked out of the control room, face ghastly pale. He lit a cigarette and called the investor. The investor answered instantly. The director said tremblingly, "Are you paying attention to the live stream?" Sunyan replied calmly, "I've been watching the stream. It's no big deal. Professor Sora's matters were previously classified, but as just mentioned, the non-disclosure agreement ends here. I will handle the rest." The director still felt uneasy. "Are you sure it's fine? We streamed the Chancellor of the Imperial University and 2 chairmen of state-owned enterprises." Sunyan remained indifferent. "I will handle it. Do your own job." Director Zhang still didn't feel reassured. He gritted his teeth and said, "Please give me some peace of mind." Sunyan's father on the other end was silent for a moment. This was permitted by the higher-ups. They want to use the live stream to increase Professor Sora's popularity. "I understand, father-in-law," the director said excitedly. Sunyan's father reminded him, "Don't speak of this. The permission I told you about is just what the higher-ups decided. They have their own considerations. We just follow orders." The director was stunned. If Sunyan's father got permission from the higher-ups, doesn't that mean the higher-ups are right by Sunyan's side? The director quickly said, "Rest assured, I won't tell anyone. I will do my job well." After hanging up, the director let out a long sigh, feeling an unprecedented sense of relief. The original worry had completely dissipated. After returning to the control room, the secretary looked at the director worriedly. "Will something happen?" The director laughed. "I just called the investor." Sunyan's father said it's fine. Since Professor Sora's identity doesn't need to be kept secret, we won't have any problems. On the live stream, the 4 of us were eating and chatting. Ichiro Sato looked at me and asked a question. "Professor Sora, when you took on the AIDS project, did you develop the special medicine first or the vaccine?" Ichiro Sato's curiosity was reasonable. Normally, if a cure for AIDS was successfully developed, there would be no need for a vaccine. Elder Jiang also looked at me curiously. I chuckled. I developed the medicine first, then the vaccine. Logically, once the medicine was out, there was no need for a vaccine. I wanted to challenge myself. And honestly, I wanted to earn more money. Earn more money? Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato were confused. Wouldn't the cure earn the same amount? Kenji Tanaka chimed in with a smile. Think about the situation when the medicine and vaccine were launched. At the time, they used the excuse that the AIDS medicine was difficult to mass produce, so it could only be supplied domestically, while the vaccine could be produced on a massive scale for global supply. Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato realized instantly. When the news was announced, the world was skeptical, but as patient after patient was cured, the critics shut their mouths. From that day on, the world demanded that Seiko Pharmaceutical mass-produce the AIDS drug. But Seiko issued an announcement. Several ingredients in the AIDS medicine are difficult to extract and cannot be mass-produced. We will only supply the domestic market for 10 years. However, the AIDS vaccine could be produced in large quantities. Although foreign countries didn't believe it, they had no choice but to settle for the vaccine. Some couldn't stand seeing Japan make so much money and tried to copy the vaccine, but every attempt failed. Reluctantly, the whole world started purchasing the vaccine in large quantities. Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato felt a sense of justice whenever they thought about that time. The audience in the stream also recalled the event from a few years ago. That was satisfying. Seiko Pharmaceutical must have made a fortune. Ha ha ha, I remember that the vaccine was later made free domestically. It drove the whole world crazy. Yes, the domestic policy was excellent. 1.5 billion doses, all free. In the control room, the director and secretary were excited too. They had lived through it. Domestic shots were free, while foreigners had to pay 1,000 yen per dose. Misaki on the side laughed too. Her feelings were hard to describe. It was simply satisfying. In the stream, Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato gave Kenji Tanaka a thumbs up. Well done. Kenji Tanaka shook his head and smiled. That was all Professor Sora's idea. I explained. I was just annoyed by them. Plus, foreign pharmaceutical companies were selling to us at much higher prices, so I set the price of the vaccine at 1,000 yen per dose. Ichiro Sato asked curiously, What was the cost of the AIDS vaccine? Kenji Tanaka smiled broadly and held up 3 fingers. Ichiro Sato guessed, 30? Kenji Tanaka nodded and laughed. The cost was 30. A profit of 970. Elder Jiang looked at Kenji Tanaka in shock. That's a huge profit. Fans in the stream were stunned, only able to say, WTF. The profit was insane. Excluding Japan, there were billions of people. If even a fraction of those billions got the vaccine, Seiko Pharmaceutical would be rolling in cash. That's insanely awesome. Chairman Shen is great, but not as great as Professor Sora. Long live the professor. The million-plus viewers in the stream weren't all Japanese. There were many from other countries. Hearing our conversation, their expressions turned sour. A vaccine cost 30 yen but sold for 1,000. Seiko Pharmaceutical had made a fortune on it, and since it was a state-owned enterprise, it stung even more. Another group of people felt even worse. They used to be Japanese but had immigrated to Western developed countries. Back then, they were proud and felt superior. Seeing the homeland they had abandoned thriving today made them feel uncomfortable. It's like discovering that the ex you dumped is living a better life than you years later. That feeling is very bitter. The worst part is that their lives abroad weren't as good as they imagined, but there's no regret medicine. They can no longer get Japanese citizenship. They are foreigners now. To the people in their adopted countries, they aren't pure. Most see them as immigrants. In the stream, we chatted as we ate, getting more and more excited. Kenji Tanaka, being a bit chatty and having drunk some white liquor, became the life of the party. I saw the statistics a few days ago. The AIDS vaccine has sold 3 billion doses. I think the market is saturated. I discussed it with the company's upper management and decided to stop vaccine sales to focus on selling the AIDS medicine. Ichiro Sato asked curiously, "How are you planning to sell the AIDS medicine?" Kenji Tanaka smiled and held up 1 finger. 10,000 yen per box. It takes 3 boxes to cure AIDS. Elder Jiang pondered for a while. So many people abroad have already had the vaccine, so there probably won't be many buying the medicine. Kenji Tanaka nodded. Not many, but the number of AIDS patients abroad is high, so there will still be plenty of buyers. Ichiro Sato asked curiously, "What is the cost of 1 box of medicine?" Kenji Tanaka chuckled. The cost per box is not much, 530 yen. Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato were stunned. Cost 530, retail 10,000, a profit of over 9,000. Seeing their expressions, Kenji Tanaka smiled lightly. The foreign companies sell us drugs at even higher margins. We only charge 10,000. We're being very conscientious. Professor Sora also participated in the pricing. Hearing this, I laughed. I made the final call on the price. The price is high, but they sell their drugs to us at sky-high prices too. I am a scientist. Some say science has no borders, and I agree. But while science has no borders, scientists do. I am a scientist, and more importantly, a Japanese scientist. Fans in the stream couldn't help but comment, this pricing is spot on. 30,000 yen to cure AIDS is a price that can definitely be accepted. If it were me, I'd set it at 100,000. I remember a foreign drug that cost 200 yen but was sold to us for over 70,000. They relied on their drug being the only one available. We should treat them the way they treated us. However, among the 700,000 in the stream, there were dissenting voices. A few foreigners were angry about the low cost and high price. It's so cheap to make. Scientists should sell medicine at a fair price. Agreed. It should cost about 400 yen a box. Many people saw these dissenting voices, checked their profiles, and found they were foreigners. So they fired back. Science has no borders, but scientists do. Professor Sora is Japanese. What's wrong with selling it for 10,000 a box? Why don't you think about how you sold 200 yen drugs at sky-high prices? It's 10,000. Deal with it. In the control room, the director saw this and blocked the accounts of the foreigners, kicking them out of the stream. He said, "I've blocked them and kicked them out." The fans were unhappy. Why did you kick them out? We should have scolded them until we were satisfied before kicking them out. Exactly. I haven't scolded enough. Director, that's not cool. You should have waited. Those hypocrites only want low prices when it's bad for them. If they had a cure, they'd charge a fortune. People like that deserve a good scolding. In the stream, Elder Jiang raised a full glass of liquor. Come, let's toast to our Professor Sora. Ichiro Sato also raised his full glass. Kenji Tanaka, seeing the two about to down a full glass, was scared and quickly urged, "Liquor is strong, drink a little less." Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato heard this. They looked at each other and both had the idea to scare Kenji Tanaka. I understood their intent and decided to cooperate. "Sure." Ichiro Sato laughed. "I'm going to drink 5 bottles of white liquor." Kenji Tanaka was incredulous. Is he bragging? I thought Professor Sora only bragged when he was drunk. Drinking by the bottle? And white liquor at that? But to his surprise, I actually turned around and grabbed 4 bottles of liquor. Kenji Tanaka still couldn't believe it. How could anyone drink by the bottle? Especially since he had seen Ichiro Sato drink before. If he drank liquor by the bottle, he'd be in the hospital or half crippled. Not to mention, they had already had a glass. Now I, Elder Jiang, and Ichiro Sato each had a bottle of liquor. We opened the caps and looked at the motionless Kenji Tanaka. Ichiro Sato raised an eyebrow at Kenji Tanaka. "Why aren't you opening yours?" Seeing Ichiro Sato acting like he was really going to drink by the bottle, Kenji Tanaka was still skeptical, thinking they were just trying to scare him. So Kenji Tanaka took off his cap. "Fine, if we're drinking by the bottle, let's drink." Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato laughed and started drinking directly from the bottles. This scene stunned Kenji Tanaka. They're actually drinking by the bottle. This is insane. This is high-proof liquor, it's dangerous. The audience in the stream laughed. Hilarious. Professor Sora, Elder Jiang, and Chairman Jiang are so fun. The 3 of them teamed up to scare Chairman Shen. Haha, Chairman Shen doesn't even know Professor Sora invented anti-hangover capsules. He looks so cute when he's scared. Turns out Professor Sora likes scaring people too. I thought all scientists were super serious. The assistant in the control room smiled at Misaki. "Misaki-san." Misaki chuckled without speaking, just watching her good husband on the screen. In the stream, the 3 of us finished a bottle each. We put the bottles down and looked at Kenji Tanaka. Kenji Tanaka was sweating. If I drink this whole bottle, especially so fast, I'll probably be in the hospital." Ichiro Sato laughed. "I'm here. I'll call an ambulance for you." Kenji Tanaka was speechless. "Shouldn't you not be pressuring me to drink?" Seeing Kenji Tanaka's predicament, I laughed. "Just try the anti-hangover capsule I developed." "Anti-hangover capsule?" Kenji Tanaka wondered. "It sounds like it can sober someone up quickly." He looked at Elder Jiang and Ichiro Sato, who were calm. They must have known about the capsules and even taken them. No wonder they dared to drink by the bottle. Kenji Tanaka was moved. Professor Sora even invented such a powerful drug? Next second, Kenji Tanaka tilted his head and started drinking by the bottle. Seeing this, I took out 4 capsules and gave 1 to each. Eat this when the liquor hits you to experience the effect. 5 minutes later, the alcohol hit. And there was a feeling that if we didn't stop, something bad would happen. The 4 of us immediately took a capsule and waited 10 more minutes. The first 5 minutes, the alcohol effect grew stronger, and there was no sense of sobering up. But from the 10th minute on, one could clearly feel the drug's effect. Kenji Tanaka looked at me in shock. "The effect is too strong!" I laughed. 30 minutes after taking this, the alcohol in the body will be almost gone. Within 40 minutes, it's completely eliminated. Kenji Tanaka was shocked. Professor Sora is young, but everything he does is astonishing. Conquering AIDS, and now these capsules? If these were on the market, sales would be explosive, especially since this drug has such sustained efficacy. The audience witnessed the power of the capsules and were all in awe. I can't wait for these to hit the market. No more fear of drinking. If I had these, my income would go up quite a bit. Even if they launch, it'll probably take a year or 2. Meanwhile, in the Public Security Bureau office in Jiangnan City, Wang Jiguo was watching the stream. A few days ago, his superiors told him to visit Sora and make an appearance in the stream to boost his popularity. He originally thought the higher-ups wanted to use the program to announce Sora's cancer treatment identity. He didn't expect to see so many of Sora's achievements while watching the stream these past 2 days. He also understood why the higher-ups knew the situation immediately after the program started. A person like Sora must be protected at all times. There must be plainclothes officers protecting him, and even Misaki and Sora's close relatives must be under protection. Wang Jiguo sighed. He recalled signing a non-disclosure agreement a few years ago, when the higher-ups told him Sora had conquered cancer because Sora was to live in Jiangnan City long-term. The higher-ups gave him a task. Whatever happens to Sora, big or small, He must handle it with full effort. We chatted until 5 p.m. Before leaving, Elder Jiang looked at me. "What are your plans for tomorrow?" I looked at him. "My wife is off work tomorrow." Elder Jiang nodded. They had originally wanted to hang out tomorrow, but since I had other things to do, the three said goodbye and left. The house became quiet. I thought for a moment and went to the kitchen to get busy. I wanted to make 3 dishes for Misaki before she got home. At 5:30 p.m., I sent Misaki a message. I had ordered takeout and reheated the dishes. Misaki received the message. Her heart felt heavy, especially after learning that her husband had conquered AIDS. In those days, people were terrified of AIDS. Her husband must have come into contact with a lot of the virus to conquer it. If he had been infected by accident during that process, it would have been over. Misaki looked at the message and replied, "Husband, I got it. I'm coming home now." After putting away her phone, Misaki said to the director and assistant, "I'll stop the stream as soon as I get home." The director and assistant had no objections. Surprisingly, the audience didn't oppose it either. They were very supportive. "Misaki-san, take good care of Professor Sora." "How will you take care of him?" Misaki glanced at the chat and ignored it. With eyes full of affection, Misaki walked up to me and gently wrapped her arms around my neck. Seeing her approach, I cooperated. After kissing for a few minutes, I whispered to her. Misaki blushed and asked softly, "And after dinner?" Hearing her, I blushed. "After dinner, whatever you want." Misaki gently said, Usually kissing was normal, but feeding him directly was something that hadn't happened for a long time. I took a bite of the stir-fried meat, and Misaki fed me another piece. Sora looked at Misaki, sweating. "Are you treating me like a kid?" Misaki laughed. "Eat up, you need the energy." What was up with his wife lately? Just eating dinner took over half an hour. After eating, Misaki looked at me. "You go take a bath first, I'll clean up and then go." Sora went to the bathroom to shower, and Misaki cleaned up the dishes before showering too. After her bath, Misaki went to the storage room, found the wedding dress she wore when they married, put it on, and walked into the room. Seeing Misaki in the wedding dress, I was stunned. It wasn't their anniversary, but I quickly understood. The next morning, I didn't get out of bed until 9 a.m. Looks like I need to hurry up and develop a supplement for back health. Misaki had already gone to work. After breakfast, I was just planning to watch TV when an unexpected visitor arrived. The visitor was Zhao Weiguo, the governor of the Japan Bank. On the screen, Zhao Weiguo said, "Yesterday, a new deposit of 1.3 trillion arrived. Your total assets are now 4 trillion. If you hadn't donated 1 trillion last year, you would have at least 5 trillion in cash." Without hesitation, I told Governor Zhao, "Keep 2 trillion and donate the rest to the state for military expenditures." Then, thinking of something, I picked up the phone and called Ichiro Sato. After it connected, "Did you miss me right after we separated?" "Find time to come over. I have prescriptions for cold and pneumonia. The side effects are negligible. A severe cold can be cured in 3 days, a light one in 1 day." Ichiro Sato was excited. "I'll book a flight and fly over immediately. I'll give you the anti-hangover capsule formula too." Ichiro Sato was even more excited. "Okay. With so many formulas, once mass-produced, you'll probably make tens of thousands of goals in a year." Hearing Ichiro Sato, I said casually, "A person like me is supported by the state. I have no interest in money. I've donated most of what I've earned anyway. I developed these drugs to benefit humanity, and more so to drive down drug prices. It would be best if those unscrupulous pharmaceutical companies go bankrupt." Ichiro Sato, on the other end, was filled with admiration. I made another call to Kenji Tanaka. "Find time to come over again. I've developed a medicine for hemorrhoids. Use the external and internal medicine together, and it can be cured in 7 days." Kenji Tanaka's expression changed. "Current hemorrhoid medicines are only effective for minor cases. Severe cases require surgery, which is extremely painful. Patients say it's like passing shards of glass. But Professor Sora says his medicine can cure them in 7 days. The value of this drug is immense. 9 out of 10 people have hemorrhoids. Sales will skyrocket." I nodded. "That's all for now." Governor Zhao watched me in shock. This is going to reshuffle the entire pharmaceutical industry. At this moment, an unexpected situation occurred in the stream. WTF, why can't I type Professor Sora's name suddenly? Professor Sora's name won't appear even with symbols. In the control room, the 3 were shocked. They tried to type Sora, and it was impossible. Try it on the Green Bubble app, the assistant said, and sent a message to Misaki containing only the characters for Sora. Misaki stared at her phone and frowned. The assistant was confused. She clearly sent it successfully. Everyone realized the higher-ups must have intervened. Then viewers said the program's name couldn't be typed either. What's going on? The program name can't be typed either. My mom tried searching and couldn't find it. What the audience didn't know was that a very important official announcement was happening in the news. In the control room, the director received a message from Sun Yan. The program continues. The director asked, "Many people can't find the stream and can't search for Professor Sora's name." President Su replied, "No new viewers will enter the stream. Only existing viewers can come and go. Don't worry about the rest. Just keep the stream going. Pay more attention to the news these next 2 days." The director told the stream the issue with the program and Professor Sora's name is because the higher-ups intervened. Existing viewers can come and go, but no new viewers can join. The fans were stunned. Why would they do that? Sora conquered so many diseases. They should be increasing his popularity, not limiting the flow. The director didn't understand either. "Everyone, keep an eye on the news. You might find the answer." These 2 days, she had been in shock. She wanted to ask her son-in-law in person, but if he knew he was being streamed, the program might end. The mother-in-law thought for a moment and called her in-law. "Long time no see. Any reason for the call today?" The mother-in-law gathered her courage. "Question. Do you know who conquered cancer?" Sora's mother laughed. "Sora conquered it." The mother-in-law was speechless. "Direct as that?" She asked further. "It's also Sora. Are you watching the program?" "Yes. Did you find out about your son conquering AIDS and cancer from the show too? His father and I knew years ago. We didn't say anything because we both signed non-disclosure agreements." The mother-in-law gasped. "He conquered so many world-class problems. Aren't you surprised?" Sora's mother laughed. "Sora was a prodigy since he was little. He knew all the characters by 5, was top of his class, and the national top scorer in the entrance exam. He mastered 6 languages in high school. We aren't surprised by anything he does. And he became..." "I remember now, I can't tell you that." The mother-in-law was curious. "Became what, at 19? Why stop halfway? You'll know on October 1st. I really can't say anything right now." Misaki's mother felt extremely uneasy inside. Hearing Sora's mother, it seemed Sora had even more significant secrets. At this moment, on the live stream, I was clinking glasses with Governor Zhao. Just as we were enjoying the drink, our phones sounded with notification alerts simultaneously. A news headline popped up, released by official media. "Various rankings to be announced starting September 9th. The World Rich List will be released tomorrow, September 9th. Almost at the same time, everyone's phones rang. Countless people saw the news notification from the official media. Some were curious why the Rich List was being released by official media. And, judging by their tone, there were other lists besides the Rich List. Many fans in the live stream saw the news. Professor Sora has 4 trillion yen. The seat of the world's richest person belongs to Professor Sora. Professor Sora's and the show's names have become forbidden words, which is why new viewers can't enter. I have a feeling Professor Sora's name will likely appear on the list. If Professor Sora appears on the Rich List, the whole world will probably be stunned." In the control room, Misaki was also very expectant. Would Sora's name appear on the Rich List? If he appeared on the list and was the world's richest person, just thinking about it made her heart race with excitement. Time flew to past 2 p.m. Governor Zhao stood up to leave. "Perhaps your name will appear on the Rich List." After Governor Zhao left, I picked up my phone and called Minister Zhang. Once connected, I went straight to the point. "Minister Zhang, the news says the World Rich List will be released tomorrow. I won't be on the list, will I?" Minister John laughed on the other end. "This list is indeed related to you. The higher-ups want to create momentum and make the whole world pay attention to Japan." Minister Zhang then added seriously, "In recent years, our country's technology has developed explosively, catching up to developed countries in many fields and even surpassing Western superpowers. Our citizens are becoming more confident. Releasing these lists is also to further boost national self-confidence and act as a deterrent to the world." At 10 a.m. the next day, national media presented the exact same image on mobile devices and televisions, with a new name displayed every half hour in the bottom right corner. By this time, the world's wealthy had received news of Japan's official media releasing the top 10 of the world rich list. Everyone was puzzled. None of the top 10 were Japanese, so releasing the list would only boost others' morale. Everyone waited quietly for the results with suspicion. Meanwhile, the Japanese elite remained as stable as a mountain. This was exactly the effect they wanted, making the whole world focus on Japan. They glanced at the time. There were 5 minutes left until the announcement of the 10th richest person. The whole world waited for the first name to be revealed. The TV screen began to show the list. 10th place, Brin, personal funds of 93.4 billion United States dollars. After the 10th place was announced, the world was in an uproar. There must be a mistake. Brin should be 9th. It's only been a few months since the last list. The rankings shouldn't have changed. In a U.S. estate, Brin frowned at the list on his computer. 3 months ago, he was 9th. Now he had become 10th. The personal fund figure was correct. Who had pushed him down a spot? All the top billionaires were also looking blank. In the live stream, all the fans were going crazy. I'm commenting below, but I can't type the professor's name, even though I know who the world's richest person is. I commented below that the world's richest person is Japanese, and I got scolded by a bunch of people. Brothers, let's go to the official media's live stream and show them. Go to the official media channel. In an instant, many people exited the Explore the Other Half stream and rushed to the official media channel. The director in the control room was stunned. The audience dropped from 1.5 million to 1 million in just 30 seconds. Over 500,000 people flooded in within 30 seconds. At this moment, the official media livestream had over 5 million viewers. Many were questioning why the media was releasing a list that boosted others. Morale. Suggest terminating the list announcement. Just then, the chat was flooded with the same comment. The official media is releasing this list because the world's richest person is Japanese, someone you could never imagine. The uninformed viewers were confused. Is this for real? Who is it? Tell us quickly. Those who knew the truth wanted to say it, but all keywords were blocked. They couldn't say it even if they wanted to. It was so frustrating. At this time, the 9th place appeared on the official media screen. Terry Page, nationality US, personal funds of 97.2 billion United States dollars. Time passed slowly. As the list was revealed, they reached 3rd place, personal funds of 165.7 billion United States dollars. Countless top billionaires were shaken. Musk was originally 2nd, but had now become 3rd, meaning a mysterious person had entered the top 2, possibly the new world's richest person. Time passed until they were about to announce 2nd place. Everyone was speculating that 2nd place must be the mysterious person. I have a feeling 2nd place might not be the mysterious person. Surprisingly, no one countered this. Given the current situation, anything was possible. People all over the world stared at the screen. The name for 2nd place slowly appeared. 2nd place, personal funds of 191.4 billion United States dollars. 191.4 billion United States dollars equals 1.2173 trillion yen. After the 2nd place was announced, the world was stunned. In the control room, Misaki was very excited because her husband's name was about to appear in the position of the world's richest person. As time passed, the countdown to the 1st place announcement began. As the countdown ended, a line of text slowly appeared on the screen. 1st place, Sora, Japanese, personal funds of 3.9 trillion yen, totaling 613.1 billion United States dollars. Note: detailed information regarding Sora will be revealed one by one in the following list. I looked at the TV screen, surprised. Wasn't it said it wouldn't be fully disclosed until October 1st? Why is my identity being revealed now? Thinking this, I took out my phone and dialed. Wasn't it said my identity would only be revealed on October 1st? Why is it being revealed on the list? Minister Zhang pondered. You conquered cancer, AIDS, and lung heart disease. Including the newly developed anti-hangover capsule, these drugs will be revealed one by one on the list. Also, after discussion by the higher-ups, it was decided to reveal the news of the Nantenman and the space mothership. Of course, we won't say for now that you developed these cross-era weapons. Only these achievements will be revealed for now. Your other files will remain strictly confidential until October 1st. I frowned less after hearing this. Knowing just the name shouldn't be too troublesome, and my family and I should still be safe. How many people are protecting me in secret? I asked. Minister Zhang pondered for a moment. There are 20,000 in your city and 10,000 in nearby cities. You don't need to worry about safety. I felt completely relieved. Then Minister Zhang said mysteriously, Japan has prepared a special gift for you. Your old classmate will deliver it to you tomorrow. However, before I could ask what the gift was, Minister Zhang hung up. At the same time, Misaki in the control room received a mysterious call. A cold woman's voice was on the other end. I have some relations with Sora and want to talk to you. I'm waiting for you in a black commercial vehicle downstairs. Misaki, who was happy about her husband becoming the world's richest person, frowned instantly. What relations do you have? The caller didn't answer, only saying coldly, Let's talk in person, and hung up. Misaki walked out of the control room, and indeed, a commercial vehicle was parked downstairs. As she approached, the electric door slowly slid open. A beautiful woman sat in the car, looking at Misaki. Misaki observed the woman in the car. You were the one who called me just now? The beautiful woman said coldly. Get in the car first. Misaki didn't waste time and stepped into the car. Misaki then noticed 3 other beautiful women sitting in the back row. And who are you to my husband? The cold beauty didn't even look at Misaki. Sora conquered cancer, AIDS, and lung heart disease. Many are watching him, and many want to destroy him. You should understand Sora's importance to Japan. Misaki frowned and said coldly, I know that without you telling me. What exactly do you want to say? The cold beauty replied indifferently. As Sora's wife, you should know that if someone wants to threaten him, you and the children are the first targets. Misaki's expression changed. Wouldn't these 4 women kidnap her to threaten Sora? Misaki immediately tried to pull the door open, but it was locked. Then the 3 women in the back row moved. Each suddenly had a weapon in their hand, pointed at Misaki's head. Misaki, who thought they were romantic rivals, instantly turned pale. Who on earth are you? The cold beauty looked at Misaki. I just wanted to remind you. Meanwhile, the 3 women in the back put away their weapons. The cold beauty continued. My name is Lin Yan. Misaki breathed a sigh of relief and asked Lin Yan, What did you want to talk to me about? Lin Yan was silent for a while. Sora is important to the country. His work requires focus. As his wife, you should want him to work without distractions. Misaki looked at Lin Yan. My husband develops medicines and conquers world-class problems. I will take good care of his daily life, and I will handle matters at home. Misaki paused. From now on, I won't easily contact strangers. The incident just now had scared her. If they had really come to kidnap her today, she would have been doomed. Lin Yan was silent. She had intended to warn Misaki so she would understand the situation, but it seemed unnecessary. Misaki was quite sensible. Seeing Lin Yan silent and looking preoccupied, Misaki suddenly said, Do you like my husband? Lin Yan remained silent, thinking of the past and feeling deep regret. Years ago, when Sora was awarded the title of academician, she was just an ordinary researcher. She thought she would declare her feelings after she developed intelligent mechs and robots and was also awarded the title. But her research required many better materials, all of which needed to be conquered, taking her a full 12 years. She regretted it now. If only she had declared her feelings back then. Both the Japanese Academy of Sciences and the higher-ups knew she liked Sora, and perhaps they would have set them up. But it was too late now. Lin Yan said, Sora is important to the country, and the country needs him. When he is busy, I hope you can understand him and not disturb his work. This is unfair to you, but you should understand the nature of his work. Misaki laughed. My husband's work is great. Unless it's something extremely major, I won't disturb him. Lin Yan nodded. You can get off the car now. Let's introduce ourselves again. Lin Yan watched Misaki's retreating figure and closed the door. She then told the 3 women in the back, that person was one of the targets you need to protect. At 6 p.m., Misaki arrived home on time. I sat on the sofa and smiled. Believe it or not, I'm the world's richest person. Misaki rolled her eyes. It would be against the laws of nature if you were the world's richest person. Which world's richest person stays at home all day? I chuckled. Then Misaki sat beside me. Husband, who would have thought the world's richest person is Japanese and has the same name as you? I rubbed her head and laughed. Actually, I am the world's richest person. Misaki waved her hand. Transfer a small goal, 100 million, to me first to prove it. I sat on the sofa with a smile. I had a new idea. On the night of October 1st, I would take out 100 million in cash and bury Misaki in a pile of bills. She would probably be completely dumbfounded. The next day at the Japanese Foreign News Conference, a US reporter asked, "Yesterday, the official media released the World Rich List. Is this list authentic?" Spokesperson Zhao Jian replied calmly, "What official media releases is naturally authentic. The authority of the official media will never change." Zhao Jian then scanned the reporters. Next question. A British reporter stood up. How did this world's richest person, Sora, earn all this money? Zhao Jian took a sip of water and replied, "The official media gave a hint yesterday. Information regarding Sora's identity will be revealed one by one in subsequent lists." After the meeting, reporters scrambled to organize their articles, and the information spread to every corner of the world. Sora being the world's richest person was confirmed by official Japanese sources. On the other side, there was a knock at my door. When I opened the door, I saw Lin Yan and the 3 women behind her. Haven't seen her in years. Lin Yan seemed even more beautiful. The 3 women were also top tier in figure and appearance, comparable to Misaki. Lin Yan had prepared herself before coming, but her heart still trembled seeing Sora. Sora seemed more mature. "Professor Sora." The 3 women behind her greeted in unison. I nodded and smiled. "Hello?" In the live stream, over 1.5 million fans were stunned. So beautiful, especially the lady in the lead. Damn, I'd go bankrupt just to marry any one of them. I'll offer 10 million. I'll offer 100 million. I poured tea for the 4 and laughed. This is top grade da hong pao. Lin Yan smiled, picked up the cup, and savored the tea. Minister Zhang said you brought a gift from Japan. Lin Yan chuckled. The 3 of them are the gift. I almost spat out my tea. The fans in the live stream were stunned. Japan is giving Sora 3 women? Seeing my expression, Lin Yan covered her mouth and laughed, then turned to the 3 women behind her. I was startled and instinctively wanted to look away, but curiosity got the better of me. I saw the center of their clean, white bellies open like a door, and 3 weapons popped out. Then the women lifted their left hands. Their palms changed and finally turned into cold, gleaming blades. The audience in the stream were stunned. These 3 beauties are robots? The chat exploded. This is the most realistic robot I have ever seen. Exactly like a real person. Misaki, ask your husband where these robots can be bought. I'll buy one for under $1 million. Misaki in the control room was also bewildered. She didn't expect that the ones who had pointed weapons at her were 3 robots. She had seen them up close. They were indeed too realistic. The assistant was excited. If only I had a female robot like that, though a male robot would be better. Fans joked. Assistant, what do you need a male robot for? To protect you? The assistant blushed at the screen. Naturally, to protect me. The director's eyes also lit up. Misaki, go ask Professor Sora where these robots are sold. I want to buy a batch for actors to shoot films. Misaki laughed and agreed, but she knew in her heart that these 3 robots even had weapons. They weren't commercial products. On the screen, I was also surprised. These 3 robots were too realistic. I couldn't help but reach out to touch their hands. The texture was almost identical to a real person. The chat was full of envy and jealousy. WTF? I want to touch their hands too. So envious. I feel like it's worth it to spend 300,000 for this female robot, ha ha ha. Misaki felt uncomfortable seeing this. Even though she knew they were robots, they were too realistic, and her husband was touching them constantly. Fans joked, Misaki might be the first person to get jealous of a robot. At 2 p.m., after Lin Yan left the livestream, only I and the 3 robots were left at home. I looked at them and asked, do you have names? The 3 robots introduced themselves. Sugetsu, Suzining. At 5 p.m., Misaki hurried home. She was still very curious about these 3 robots. Misaki looked at the 4 in the house and pretended to be startled. Guests have come and no one told me in advance? Even though she was tired, she had to play the part. I walked to Misaki and explained with a smile. They are robots developed by Jiangyong Company. Jiang Yuan specifically sent them to me to test. Misaki couldn't help but think, my husband doesn't even blush when he lies. Jiang Yuan is his childhood friend, but he went abroad years ago. Now he's being used as a shield. Misaki pretended to be surprised, cooperating with her husband to finish the act. In a blink the next day, for the various rankings arrived. First was the World Individual Donation List. Many Japanese didn't have much interest in the donation list. They just wanted to know who the previously revealed world's richest person, Sora, was, how old he was, and how he made so much money. I was sitting on the sofa watching TV. Actually, I had little interest in this list, or even the previous World Rich list. I just wanted to see the scene of the space mothership traveling around the world. Before long, one by one, the donation list appeared. Second place, Jamji Tata of India, 67 billion. Third place, Gates, 48 billion. Fourth place, Heng Huikang, 37 billion. Although people in various countries weren't very focused on the donation list, many still felt proud after seeing their own countrymen on the list. The proudest were naturally the Indian citizens. In the Japanese live stream, Indians were cheering. Our Indian ranking is the highest, 67 billion, who can compare? The Japanese people in the stream were annoyed. Open your eyes and see. You Indians are second. The first hasn't been announced yet. I think the first place must be our Japan. This list tracks donations over the last 100 years. Decades ago, Japan was weaker in all aspects. It only became strong and rich in the last few decades, so not being in the top 10 is normal. The Indians in the stream realized that the name at the top wasn't first place, but second. Still, second place was already impressive. The Americans were also proud. In the top 10, the US takes the most spots. Overall, the strength of our US is still very powerful. The Japanese in the stream were annoyed. There's no way this list tracks the last 100 years. If it tracked the last 10 years, now they could only wait for the first place to be announced. They faintly felt that the first place was Japanese, or even the world's richest person revealed yesterday. Otherwise, why would the media specifically release this list? At this moment, a line of text slowly appeared on the TV and the live stream screen. First place, world's richest, Sora, nationality Japanese. 2 years ago, he donated a total of 1 trillion yen to Japan at once. Note, all of Mr. Sora's 1 trillion donation was used for Japan's military expenditures. After the first place was announced, the world fell silent. Those top billionaires also fell silent. Just that 1 trillion alone was enough to rank in the top 3 of the world rich list. After a period of silence, the top elite of various countries were collectively enraged. They weren't angry because the first place was Japanese, but because that 1 trillion was entirely used for Japan's military expenses. Top elites were enraged and issued orders. Investigate for me. Investigate right now who this Sora is. The top elites realized the crisis. Little did they know, Japan's top elite had been waiting for this. They weren't just releasing the list. They were taking the opportunity to pull out countless eyes hidden in the dark. The media livestream had exploded. Donating 1 trillion at once? This is heaven-defying. Sora was previously revealed to have 3.9 trillion. Adding this 1 trillion donation, didn't that mean Sora had nearly 5 trillion in cash? Just as the world was debating, the content on the TV and the livestream list suddenly changed. Just received news. Mr. Sora has donated another 2.6 trillion yen. Mr. Sora specifically emphasized that the 2.6 trillion donated must also be used for military expenditures. The top consortia of the world couldn't sit still. In an estate, Amazon's founder muttered while watching the screen. This Mr. Sora is very patriotic, but he doesn't look like a typical entrepreneur. A normal entrepreneur, no matter how patriotic, wouldn't donate most of their net worth at once. On the other side, I looked at the various comments on the screen and felt a bit bad. The higher-ups originally wanted to reveal my identity, and while I didn't refuse, I was resistant. But later I learned that revealing my identity was inevitable. Over these 10 years, although my identity was well hidden, there were some leaks. Even if I continued to hide my identity, it wouldn't last much longer. That's why the higher-ups decided to reveal it. Revealing my identity had several benefits. One was boosting national confidence, and another was becoming a role model for countless people, making more people learn from me. The disadvantages were obvious. I would be exposed to public view, and my safety would be the biggest problem. Thinking this, I decided I had to return to my post quickly. Japan's current strength was clearly very strong. The space weapons and mothership alone were enough to crush most powers. But if a final war broke out, they would still suffer damage. I picked up my phone and dialed. The call was answered in seconds. I didn't beat around the bush. I will return to my post on October 8th. The other end was silent for a moment, before agreeing to my request. I continued. This time I need to use 328. 328 was an internal language code. Even colleagues in the same scientific academy wouldn't know the meaning of these codes if they weren't in the same group. 328 actually stood for nuclear radiation. The higher-up's voice on the other end clearly paused. Professor Sora, this is too risky. I pondered for a moment. Prepare according to what I said. This time, if we can succeed in the development, then our Japan. Before I could finish, the other end interrupted. Professor Sora! And hung up. After hanging up, the higher-up broke into a cold sweat. He knew about that live stream program. If some words were spoken at this time, it would be troublesome. On the other side, after hanging up, I lay down on the sofa. Next to me, the robot Sugetsu was giving me a head massage. Sao was pounding my legs, and Su Zining walked over with a cup of water. Brother, drink some water. At this time, the number of people in the Explore the Other Half livestream slowly increased. Most viewers had run to the official media channel because of the list announcement. However, returning to the stream, they saw 3 beautiful robots respectfully serving me. The audience didn't feel any jealousy. Honestly, I think Professor Sora should enjoy this kind of life. Besides, it's just a massage. Misaki didn't say anything in the control room. Ever since she saw the 3 robots brought by Lin Yan, she had specifically searched online. Some companies specializing in robotics didn't produce this kind of robot, especially since these 3 had weapons hidden in their bodies. They clearly weren't commercial. Time flew to 2 p.m. Official media suddenly announced that the top 10 of the world culinary list would be released tomorrow. Releasing a culinary list was a carefully considered decision by the higher-ups. Normally, such a list wouldn't receive much global attention. But considering this list was different from the previous 2, the top 10 were almost all Japanese. Unlike the previous lists, which were mostly foreigners, it would be a great help in boosting national confidence. At the very least, one could say that Japanese cuisine was the strongest in the world. In the afternoon, Misaki returned home and blocked the camera as usual. At this moment, robot Sugetsu and Su Zining were giving me a massage, while Su was busy in the kitchen preparing dinner. Seeing Misaki, Sugetsu and Su Zining immediately stood up to greet her. Misaki walked over, intending to ask if they were tired, but remembered robots don't get tired. She swallowed her words and asked me curiously, how often do they need to charge? I explained, charging once every half-month is enough. The batteries in them are the newest development. The storage capacity is more than 5 times that of ternary lithium and lithium iron phosphate batteries. There is also other latest technology to reduce battery wear. Misaki was secretly shocked. At the same time, she was more certain that her husband was a member of the Academy of Sciences, perhaps even an academician. As for Lin Yan, she must be from the Academy too. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but feel a bit inferior. After dinner, Misaki prepared to shower. Before showering, she looked at Sugetsu and the others. Although robots don't sweat, they still need to be washed after a long time, right? Misaki was actually more curious about whether robots were exactly the same as humans all over. After half an hour, the few came out wearing pajamas after their shower. I quietly sent a message to Misaki. Are they the same as real people? I'm just purely curious. Misaki read the message and replied. I had some doubts and felt it was unnecessary. I sent a message to Lin Yan via internal software. Why are these robots exactly the same as real people? After a while, Lin Yan replied, Did you give them some naughty commands, Sora? Seeing Lin Yan's message, I blushed and quickly replied. My wife found out when showering with them. The whole exterior of the robot is exactly the same as a real person, because considering special mission requirements, target figures might be showering at clubs, etc., which makes it easier for the robot to approach. After chatting with Lin Yan for a while, I went offline. Just then, my phone rang. It was a call from my superior. After a moment of silence, the voice on the other end was serious. Professor Sora, after a day of discussion, the 328 project you want to develop has been established as a top-secret project. My mood suddenly became heavy. Anyone participating in a top-secret project must be isolated from the world and cannot tell their family where they are going. To prepare for a long-term battle, some participants even let their families think they are dead. The project will not see the light of day until it succeeds. The superior on the phone was also silent. He didn't know how to continue. The 328 top-secret project was related to nuclear radiation, a heavy weapon capable of resisting and eliminating nuclear radiation. This was a true national treasure. Unlike the fighter jet engines studied before, although those required strict confidentiality, the secrecy level wasn't top secret. After all, fighter jets are used in conventional warfare. Now, the 328 scientific project has reached the top secret level, meaning once this project is launched, all participants must be isolated from the world and cannot see or contact their families. I was silent for a while and then made up my mind. Okay, I will listen to the higher-ups, arrangements. Although I was reluctant to leave my wife and children, if this project didn't have my participation, others might not succeed for 10 or 20 years. Those people also have their own families. Does that mean they have to go decades without seeing their loved ones? Moreover, if they can dedicate themselves to the motherland, why can't I? The superior on the phone felt respectful. Academician Chin, please spend some time with your family during this time. On October 8th, we will secretly transport you to Dahuang. After hanging up, I calculated the time. October 8th wasn't long away. I wanted to spend more time with my family in the remaining time. I owe Masaki too much. Perhaps I won't be able to see her for the next few years. Thinking of this, I sent Misaki a message. Write a resignation letter. Don't go to work tomorrow. I'll take you out. Misaki, who was working, was startled by the message. Asking her to resign and taking her out? Could it be that her husband was finally going to show his cards? Misaki wanted to travel, but she replied with hesitation. I can't just quit. You have to submit a resignation letter a month in advance. Quitting directly counts as absenteeism, which goes on your permanent record. Seeing her message, I replied immediately. Just submit the letter. I'll take care of the rest. Misaki knew her husband was influential. This little thing was probably just a phone call away. But she still had to keep acting. After all, her husband didn't know about the livestream show yet. At this moment, the Japanese media issued a new announcement. They would soon reveal the identity of the researcher who developed the robots. Viewers in the livestream couldn't help but worry. I think it's better if someone like that stays hidden. It's too dangerous to go public. Robots have too many military applications. It's better not to disclose their identity. Hundreds of millions of viewers in the stream hoped the person who created the robots would remain anonymous. Meanwhile, elites from other countries were delighted. They thought the person behind such cutting-edge robotics would be kept strictly confidential. They didn't expect Japan to announce it. Were they fearless, or just too arrogant to think no one could hurt them? I watched the comments without much concern. Hayakawa's identity had to be revealed sooner or later. Japan was no longer afraid of any provocation, and the leadership's sentiment was the same. We cannot let our scientific heroes suffer in silence. The TV screen displayed a tall, beautiful woman. Her profile appeared. Name, Hayakawa, age 30. Valedictorian of the 2012 National University Entrance Exams, recruited directly into the Academy of Sciences. Her research focused on intelligent robots and mechs. It took her 11 years and 3 months to successfully conquer the robotics project. And while researching, she also invented the world's most advanced integrated plasma battery. Hayakawa devoted the best years of her life selflessly to Japan. Still single, she sacrificed her youth to push Japan's progress in multiple fields, even leading the world. We salute Professor Hayakawa. Japanese viewers were stunned upon seeing her profile. They expected the creator of such intelligence to be older, not someone so young and beautiful. Seeing that she entered the academy at 18, everyone fell silent. 18 is the prime of a woman's youth. Hayakawa entered the academy then and stayed until 30, spending the best years of her life in research. The audience felt profound respect. Salute to all scientific researchers, salute to all who contribute silently to Japan. Countless viewers had tears in their eyes. It is you who keep our lands peaceful and our nation secure." Misaki, seeing the details on the other side, also felt a deep sense of respect. A woman spending her best years on scientific research to move the country forward is worthy of admiration. I watched the livestream content too. Hayakawa's silent contributions were recognized by everyone, but as I smiled, I felt conflicted. Because I had decided to launch the 328 project, which required assistance, I had originally wanted Hayakawa to participate. She had sacrificed her first 12 years to science. For the time remaining, I hoped Hayakawa could handle her life's major milestones, get married, and have children peacefully. After hesitating, I made a decision. By the time the project was conquered, Hayakawa would be older, perhaps 40. The risk was too high. I couldn't let Hayakawa participate in the 328 project. Thinking this, I messaged Hayakawa. "The project I'm about to take on doesn't need your help." Hayakawa understood my intentions immediately. She didn't feel offended. What was the point of marriage if you couldn't be with the person you liked? However, Hayakawa soon felt something was wrong. Even a major scientific project shouldn't prevent her from helping. My message gave her the impression that participating meant she would never be able to rest again. Seconds later, she realized, unless it was a top-secret project requiring years of isolation, was Sora's next project a top-secret one? If so, she wouldn't be able to contact Sora for years. Shortly after, Hayakawa walked into the dean's office with a grim face. "Is the next project Sora is working on top secret?" Dean Lee's face changed slightly. He hadn't told Hayakawa exactly what the project was, as he also wanted her to settle down and find a partner. But Hayakawa was adamant. She insisted on participating in the next research project I was to conquer. Dean Lee was confused by Hayakawa's reaction until she explained a few things. Dean Lee looked enlightened and sighed. By 5 p.m., I went into the kitchen to prepare dinner. Misaki arrived home and found me cooking. She blinked. Was I about to show my cards? She had to keep playing the part. "Husband, you can cook?" I laughed while cooking. "I've always been able to. I just didn't want to cook every day, so I lied to you. Actually, the owner of the restaurant you visit is just a secondary account of mine." Misaki looked at me, astonished. Misaki looked at her phone and pretended to be angry. "You've done enough. You made me cook for 5 years just because you didn't want to? From today on, you're doing all the cooking." I laughed. Fine, I'll do all the cooking from now on." Misaki crossed her arms. "HMPH, that's more like it." Then she asked, "I earned over $10,000 a month with a $60,000 bonus. Now that I'm jobless, how will I pay for my social insurance?" I had already prepared the reason and coughed. "Actually, before we got married, I 10 million won in the lottery. I put it in a fixed deposit and now I can withdraw it." Misaki feigned shock. "Really?" I laughed. "Would I lie to you? Let's go to the bank tomorrow." Misaki continued to act, looking very excited. Seeing my wife so happy, I couldn't help but smile. But when I thought about how I would soon have to leave and didn't know when I could return, my smile faded. When it came to confessing to my wife, I didn't know how to start. In the following days, Japanese media announced the 76th generation fighter jets and the Sky Mothership, and even a space missile that could reach 35 Mach. The world was in an uproar. Billionaires globally were shaken. Those with Japanese stocks bought more, and many wanted to move to Japan for permanent residency. The top elites of other countries looked grim. They understood the trend. Japan's rise was unstoppable. Time flew to September 24th. We had to leave for the capital on the 28th. I had to show my cards to the family tomorrow, or I would run out of time. I asked Misaki to invite her parents over for dinner. Misaki also guessed that I was about to show my cards. The next morning, after breakfast, I took the robots into the kitchen to get busy. Misaki didn't say anything. She was waiting for me to confess. She figured I would do it during lunch, but she felt something was off. If I was going to reveal my identity, why did I look so downcast? Misaki felt puzzled, but didn't overthink it. Soon, both sets of parents arrived. All 4 knew I would reveal something today, but unexpectedly, they already knew. During the conversation, my father-in-law talked about the Sky Mothership revealed a few days ago. I was truly scared seeing the Sky Mothership yesterday. It's so huge, I feel like if it crashed, a whole neighborhood would be finished. Indeed, my mother-in-law added, shocked. Who knew the announced aircraft was that big? Haha, our Sky Mothership is one of a kind globally. Japan's technology is getting stronger. The fighters on board are 6th generation. They chatted on, with Misaki chiming in from time to time. Then my mother looked at me and asked, feigning ignorance, "By the way, Sora, You said you had something to tell us? Misaki looked at me, a smile on her face. Her husband must be thinking that once he revealed his identity, everyone would be shocked or wouldn't believe him. In reality, they wouldn't have much of a reaction, which would surely frustrate him. I was silent for a few seconds. As I spoke, I observed them, feeling a bit strange. Something was wrong. Logically, if I gathered everyone to say something important, my parents and in-laws shouldn't be so calm. My own parents' lack of reaction was normal, as they knew some of my secrets. Soon, it was lunchtime. Once everyone was seated, my father-in-law looked at me. Sora, can you tell us now? My parents and in-laws looked at me. I pondered for a moment, not knowing how to start, so I raised my glass. Let's drink a little first. They nodded, thinking I needed to build up to it. I drank half a glass of white liquor. Under a state of mild intoxication, I could say things I didn't know how to express. Seeing this, Misaki worried. Drink less, you drank half a glass on the first sip. A few more, and that's a whole bottle. I smiled. I won't get too drunk. 4/10 drunk is fine. If I drink too much, there's the hangover capsule. They chatted while eating for another 10 minutes. Sora, you've drank enough. If you have something to say it now. I nodded, took a USB drive from my pocket, and inserted it into the TV. Everyone looked at the TV suspiciously. The video showed me wearing a full protective suit, talking to several people. It was a large laboratory with doctors, nurses, and patients. Several doctors approached excitedly. The cancer cells in their bodies can no longer absorb nutrients. Many have already starved to death. In the video, I asked with a serious expression, do the patients feel any discomfort? How is the checkup data? The doctor replied excitedly, no discomfort at all. After a full checkup, all data is moving in a positive direction. The scene changed to me walking into the lab again. The doctors were excited. The new medicine is very strong. It not only resists the AIDS virus's destruction of the immune system, but makes the immune cells stronger. So strong they can defeat the AIDS virus. After switching scenes a few times, I pressed pause and looked at the family. Mom, Dad, actually, I am the one who conquered cancer, AIDS, and lung heart disease. The people present had different expressions. They were all thinking the same thing. Should they act shocked? They already knew this, so they couldn't be surprised. I watched their reactions, but they just stared at me. What the hell? Where is the reaction? This is a bit awkward. Seeing the silence, my father-in-law nodded. Conquering 3 major world problems is very impressive. My mother-in-law covered her mouth. Sora, you aren't that old. How is so much knowledge stored in your brain? My parents were calm. They already knew. But Misaki was also looking at me calmly. I was dumbfounded. I had prepared for so long, and their reaction was this flat? I said a bit awkwardly. Don't you believe me? My mother laughed. Of course we believe you. The video is right there. My mother-in-law agreed. Your name is on the list, and now you show us these videos. My eyes were blank. If they believed it, why were they so calm? Did they already know? Did my parents tell them? I realized. So they knew all along. I looked at Misaki. You knew too? Misaki blushed. I did know beforehand. Actually, there's something I want to confess too. I was shocked. My wife has something to confess? Does she have another identity? That's impossible. Misaki opened her phone and found a screen recording of the Explore the Other Half livestream. The video showed her introducing herself and then introducing me, saying I was just a programmer. My brow furrowed. From the perspective, a hidden camera had been installed in our home. Now I knew why my wife and the others weren't surprised. I flipped through other recordings. Jang Yue, Elder Jang, Ichiro Sato, and Kenji Tanaka. Whoever came to the house was live-streamed. My brow furrowed further. Normally, no one could install cameras in my house. Even if Misaki installed them, I would have known instantly. Those protecting me in secret had advanced equipment. If they found extra cameras, they would have notified me, unless it was authorized by the superiors, or they wanted to reveal my identity this way. Misaki explained, looking pitiful. The show offered 100,000 in cash. I wanted to save more money to buy a wedding house for our son. I was speechless. My mother-in-law laughed. We knew all about it. Thinking for a moment, I picked up my phone and called Elder Jiang. Elder Jiang laughed. Professor Sora, what made you call me? I went straight to the point. When you visited my house, was it specially arranged by the higher-ups? Elder Jiang immediately guessed I knew about the show and shook his head. I had finished my work and had nothing to do those days, so Ichiro Sato and I went to see you. Elder Jiang continued. I only found out after returning to the capital that we were live-streamed. I raised an eyebrow. So it was a coincidence? After chatting with Elder Jiang, I called Kenji Tanaka and Ichiro Sato. They said the same thing. After hanging up, I felt more and more off. Everyone who visited me must have been designed, and very cleverly, so that the parties involved didn't notice. Hearing my analysis, Misaki's heart tightened. Husband, according to what you said, Elder Jiang and the others were designed without knowing it? Some people are good at reading minds. Once they do, they can lead people's thoughts through small things, making them fall into a trap without noticing. I nodded. Fortunately, they don't have bad intentions. They are our own people. Misaki felt scared. She felt this type of person was too dangerous. If she wanted to go out today, why she wanted to go out and where she wanted to go might have been manipulated by others. I was speechless. After pondering, I remembered something more important. Before I could speak, my mother laughed. You want to say we are all moving to the capital, right? The 2 stores back home have already been transferred. My mother smiled. My arrangements here are all set too. I was stunned. It's all done? Did the superiors notify my parents long ago? That's fine then. I nodded, feeling relieved. I had been worried they wouldn't want to go, but thinking of the bigger problem, I sighed. They didn't know I was going to Da Wang to research the 328 project. My father-in-law dropped his smile and said seriously, Sora, Misaki is lucky to have married you. I shook my head. Dad, you're overstating it. I hid my identity when I was dating her. If my identity was known by malicious people, it would have been dangerous for all of you, so I've always felt guilty. My father-in-law waved his hand. By the time it's fully public, we'll already be in the capital. There won't be any danger. Misaki didn't care. Husband, don't overthink it. We are already married, our son is 4, and there's another on the way. What is there to be guilty about? I nodded. My identity will be officially revealed on October 1st. After that, you won't be able to leave the country, including some border areas. My mother laughed. Foreign countries aren't that great anyway. Japan has the highest security coefficient. And now that Japan is so strong, I hear many foreigners are fighting to come and settle here. They chatted until 2 p.m. The parents knew Misaki and I had plenty to say, so they left. Misaki asked, if we go to the capital, will we see many big shots? I nodded. You'll see all kinds. Misaki imagined it and felt nervous. In her 20-plus years, she had at most dealt with the neighborhood committee director. If she saw those big shots, she felt she would be too nervous to speak. She suddenly didn't want to go. I comforted her. Nothing to be nervous about. They won't eat you. Just stick with me. Actually, the reason I was so at ease was that those people had high emotional intelligence and were skilled in speaking. My wife wouldn't feel too nervous. Besides, after meeting them, my wife would probably be shocked, mainly because those people were all too good to me. I remember when I solved the fighter engine problem, the Air Force general saluted me. That salute had a very special meaning, and I still can't forget the gratitude in his eyes. There were many, many others. Time came to the 27th. Tomorrow, we go to the capital. In the morning, I received a call from Dean Lee. He notified me that at 9 a.m. tomorrow, a robot would take us to the sports park, where we would board the Sky Mothership directly to the capital. I was startled. Board the Sky Mothership? Is that necessary? Dean Lee was silent. You led the team that successfully developed this. I hope your family will be proud of you. Actually, this is mainly to pave the way for the 328 project you will lead. You'll be gone for years. We don't know when you'll be back, and we hope your family will support your work. After hanging up, Misaki heard me and became excited. Are we taking the Sky Mothership to the capital tomorrow? When I confirmed it, her expression changed. I want to go to the capital right now. I laughed. Yesterday you didn't want to leave. Now you want to hurry? Misaki smiled. Husband, home is where the family is. Where there is no family, it isn't home. The next morning, just after breakfast, Sugetsu reported that 20 robots had arrived downstairs. I nodded. After clearing the table, we put on our masks and went downstairs. Meanwhile, the sports park in the city was filled with plainclothes officers. The 4 gates had been closed since morning. People wanting to enter were confused. Just then, a giant aircraft appeared above the outskirts of the city. Sky Mothership! It's the Sky Mothership! Damn, it's so fast! People started recording videos and posting them on social media. The Sky Mothership was flying at 1,000 meters, reaching 500 kilometers per hour. In no time, it was above the sports park and began to descend slowly. Many people nearby gasped as it hovered. The Sky Mothership is landing in the sports park. Even though the park was large, it wasn't completely empty. The ship was likely just lowering its altitude. Countless people were deeply shaken. Even though they had seen it before, the sense of shock hadn't lessened. Many guessed why it was stopping at the sports park. As time passed, more and more people rushed to the park to see it. The ship had descended to 100 meters, hovering motionless, its engines retracted. That's not right. The engines are all retracted. How is it hovering so steadily? Don't you see the problem? It's so low, yet we can't hear any engine sound. How is it hovering? People were shocked, especially those who knew about dynamics. Among the netizens were some viewers from the Explore the Other Half stream. Professor Sora and Masaki live here. Could the Sky Mothership be related to Professor Sora? Uninformed netizens commented, could a big shot be appearing at the park? Is it that person? Property prices in the city are going to rise. The local police commissioner had been there since last night, but he wasn't qualified to enter the park, so he waited outside the gate. A moment later, 10 black sedans drove toward the park. Many saw them and were shocked. The cars had no brand logos and carried red license plates. Big shots must be in these cars. 10 identical cars with red plates. Red plates! Impressive. Red plates have huge significance in Japan. The commissioner at the gate was curious. Even at his rank, he didn't know who was inside. He couldn't suppress his curiosity, took out his phone and dialed a number. Sora, where are you? I laughed. Uncle Wang. I'm in the park. I just saw you, but it wasn't convenient to get out of the car. Uncle Wang's mind shook. Is it really you? Who else could it be? Sora, come back to visit often. Uncle Wang, take care of your health. After chatting, I hung up. Inside the park, our whole family was there. Everyone felt tiny looking at the Sky Mothership above. A middle-aged man stepped forward respectfully. Academician Sora, shall we begin? A hatch opened on the underside of the ship, and an elevator-like platform descended. We stepped on and rose slowly. Suddenly, the robot's feet generated power, and they soared straight up into the ship first. Everyone was shocked. Misaki looked at Sugetsu. Can you fly? Can you take me for a flight? My mother coughed. Misaki, don't be so impolite. Misaki giggled. Not now, but after we get to the capital, I want to fly at a low altitude, just 1 meter off the ground. Getting a positive reply from Sugetsu, Misaki was very excited. Inside the ship, the man in charge saluted me and led us into the interior. Outside, countless people were shocked. What did we just see? A group of robots flew straight up. Robots can fly. And some people boarded the Sky Mothership. It was too far away to see clearly. My phone supports long-range recording. I caught some of it. I saw a small child. Someone guessed it might be a big shot's child. But the child is too young. Is it a second child or a grandchild? Damn, robots can fly? Let them play soccer. Flying mid-air to pass the ball would be incredible. As everyone debated, the ship's engines activated. 36 of them, visible to everyone. Then the 8 engines on the underside fired. At 2,000 meters, the ship erupted in flames and accelerated, disappearing in 10 seconds. Damn, that fast? Is it going into the atmosphere? It's very possible. The Sky Mothership mainly operates in the atmosphere. Flying in the vacuum of the upper atmosphere is faster. It's heading there to reach top speed. Suddenly, everyone's phones pinged. The official media live stream, titled Livestream Sky Mothership Flight in the Atmosphere. The screen showed the ship flying. The broadcast announced, the Sky Mothership's main operating area is within the atmosphere. Its cruising speed can reach 25 Mach with a top speed of 35 Mach. Viewers were stunned. A top speed of 35 Mach? That means it can circle the Earth in just an hour. That's faster than the missiles. Yeah, comparable to the space missiles previously revealed. The streamer announced, The Sky Mothership is now over the capital, stopping the broadcast in half a minute. Viewers were disappointed. At least tell us who the big shot on board is. While netizens were excited, elites from around the world were watching Japan's every move, especially the Sky Mothership. At first, the ship's appearance shook them, but later they thought, it's too big and slow, isn't it a target? But now, knowing its top speed could hit 35 Mach, and it could hover in the atmosphere, those elites were filled with despair. Governments of all countries went into a panic. Quick, quick, contact Japan! We'll return what we looted decades ago. Quickly send an apology to Japan, admitting to the crimes we committed decades ago. Many billionaires and entrepreneurs had ideas, wanting to move their headquarters to Japan. The stronger Japan was, the safer they felt. Among all people, the most miserable were those who once were Japanese but had renounced their citizenship. They all regretted it now. A middle-aged man looked at the old man and complained angrily, "Dad, it's all your fault. If you hadn't insisted on emigrating, saying Japan was bad, look at Japan now." The middle-aged woman next to him added coldly, "We sold the courtyard in the capital for peanuts just to emigrate. Look at what those courtyards are worth now." The old man listened to the complaints, feeling deep regret, but what could he do? Many others were regretting, like celebrities who emigrated overseas, but there is no regret medicine in this world. Inside the Sky Mothership, we looked through the screens at the capital below. Countless people in the capital were looking up at the sky. Masaki held my arm tightly. "When we get down, will those big shots be waiting there to greet us?" I nodded. "I don't know exactly who will come, but I estimate that those you usually see on TV will be there." Masaki was dumbfounded. My father-in-law's eyes widened, speechless with excitement. At this moment, the Sky Mothership's elevator was only 10 meters from the ground. On the elevator, Masaki's heart was racing with nervousness. A thin layer of sweat had even formed on her forehead, because she saw a group of big shots below, several of whom she recognized. Not just her, but any citizen of Japan would know them. The parents on both sides could not help but feel a bit nervous as well. Only 2 people at the scene appeared very calm. As I was an old acquaintance of everyone there, the other was my daughter, Sora Uiu. She was young and, in her eyes, everyone was the same, no different from passing strangers. After the elevator landed, a group of people walked over. After the greetings, I smiled and said, "It's been a while, leaders. You all look even more energetic." Everyone laughed upon hearing this. At that moment, a middle-aged man smiled and greeted Masaki. The sound of her response was somewhat disjointed. Seeing that Masaki was nervous, everyone made an effort to talk to her more. Gradually, the parents on both sides and Masaki were no longer as nervous as they were at the start. Shortly after, everyone was taken to the state banquet hall for a meal. After eating, we returned to our respective residences arranged by the nation. There were 3 townhouses in total, all in a row. The villa Misaki and I lived in was in the middle, with both sets of parents living on either side, just about 10 meters away. A few steps, and you were there. At this moment, in the large villa besides Misaki and me, only our daughter and a few robots remained. Thinking that I would be going to the great wilderness in a few days, I worried that Misaki would be lonely in this unfamiliar place. So I said, "Tomorrow, I'll take you to meet some people." Their husbands are also researchers at the Academy of Sciences, and they moved here because of their special status. Misaki was very enthusiastic after hearing this. Great, great. Finally, I found people in the same situation. It turned out there were other women who, like her, had moved to this unfamiliar place because of their husbands' positions. After chatting for a while, Misaki suddenly asked, "When will you officially start working after your identity is public?" I fell silent for a few seconds, then looked at Misaki and pondered. "I might not have much time to accompany you, perhaps very little time." Misaki continued to ask, "How little is very little?" I didn't know how to answer. Seeing me stay silent, Misaki raised an eyebrow and said, "Even if the research project is busy, there must be time to sleep, right? You must come home to sleep at least. As long as I can see you often, it'll be enough." Hearing this, I felt even more guilty. Even a phone call would be extremely difficult. I proposed taking Misaki and our daughter for a walk to get familiar with the environment. Misaki nodded and the 3 of us went out. This residential area was extraordinary. Non-residents were not allowed to enter. Entering this compound required strict vetting and prior registration. The surrounding walls weren't like standard ones, and special measures had been implemented. The entrance wasn't guarded by security guards but by active duty soldiers, supported by teams of robots. There was no need to worry about security. The area consisted of 2-story villas. At this hour, some people were out for a walk. A middle-aged man trotted over. He looked at me excitedly. "National Scholar Sora, I heard you arrived in the capital. I didn't expect to see you right after I got home from work." I smiled and replied, "We just settled in this afternoon. After dinner, I'm taking my wife and child to get familiar with the area." The man smiled at Misaki. "Hello. I am a colleague of National Scholar Sora." He was curious about my wife, the youngest national scholar in history. The woman he married must have exceptional qualities. After a brief chat, I continued my walk with my wife and child. Many people recognized me along the way and came up to greet me. While strolling, I saw Hayakawa driving toward us. She stopped the car and looked at me and Misaki. Before I could speak, I could only nod in agreement. Hayakawa parked the car and got out, accompanied by 2 robots. She glanced at me, then extended her hand to Misaki. When we were in the city of Canaan, I mentioned that we should meet properly once we reached the capital. "Hello, my name is Hayakawa." She didn't say anything else, as the national media had already publicized her identity. Misaki shook Hayakawa's hand and smiled. "I've seen the rankings. The robots you developed are very impressive." Though she said that, Misaki was still thinking about the scene where she met Hayakawa back in Canaan. At that time, Hayakawa had startled her, and a woman's intuition told her that this Hayakawa probably liked her husband. I raised an eyebrow at their dialogue. When had they met? But I didn't overthink it. Perhaps Hayakawa had been arranged by superiors to say something to my wife back then. Seeing that Misaki didn't mention the time she used the robots to scare her, Hayakawa naturally kept silent about it as well. After the formalities, they sat on the sofa and chatted. Misaki asked curiously, "Is the Academy of Sciences not very big?" "You too. One researches robots, one researches diseases. By logic, you shouldn't be that familiar, right?" Hayakawa replied calmly. "The residential area is just this size." Misaki nodded, feeling some of her doubts clear up. If my husband and Hayakawa were in the same project team, there probably wouldn't be anything for her to worry about. Seeing the atmosphere felt off, I quickly changed the topic. "Hayakawa, you're home quite late. Is the project that busy?" Hayakawa shook her head. During the day, I had the team brainstorm upgrades for the intelligent mechs. After work, I grabbed a meal with them. Speaking of intelligent mechs, I couldn't help but feel curious. I had seen them a few years ago, but they weren't finished yet. I wondered what a completed one looked like. Seeing my curiosity, Hayakawa smiled. "Actually, those 10 red-plated cars are the intelligent mechs." Misaki was amazed. "That car is a mech?" I was also very surprised, not expecting the car I rode in was actually an intelligent mech in disguise. Hayakawa nodded. "That is one of the mech's transformation forms. There are several types. The strongest version can transform into a car, float on water to dive into the ocean, or fly like an airplane." I felt inspired and asked, "Can I try the intelligent mech one of these days?" "You can after October 1st. "Then I'll try it then," I smiled and said. Hayakawa looked at me and Misaki together, feeling some envy and a bitter taste in her heart. She actually longed to hold hands and kiss the person she liked, but that person was already married. After chatting for over an hour, I left with Misaki. Once home, we showered and put on pajamas. Misaki hugged me and asked, "Husband, how long will we be living in the capital?" I was silent for a moment and said softly, "Perhaps for a lifetime." Misaki felt a bit sad hearing that. She still had deep feelings for her hometown. I comforted her softly. "We can go back to visit when we have time." Misaki closed her eyes while hugging me. "As long as you are by my side, living in the capital for a lifetime is fine too." I held Misaki, speechless. I wouldn't be staying by her side for much longer. It was already September 28th. Early the next morning, after breakfast, I sent a message on the internal social network developed by the Academy. "Who is resting today? Let's get together. My wife and child just arrived here. Those who weren't working wanted to run to my house immediately." Seeing this, I told the robots, "We will have guests later." Afterward, I took Misaki downstairs and stayed in the courtyard. After a while, a young couple walked over. "Long time no see." The person speaking was a young man, looking to be in his early 30s. I saw the youth and smiled. It's been over 2 years. I heard from Dean Lee that you had some results in your project last month. The youth laughed. Some progress, but it takes time. After saying that, the youth looked at Misaki. My name is Kazeshima, a colleague of National Scholar Sora. Misaki looked at Kazushima and smiled. My name is Misaki. The woman next to Kazushima looked at Misaki and smiled. I am Kazushima's wife, Shute. I moved here because of my husband's work too. Let's keep in touch. When we're free, we can play cards or chat. Misaki was excited. Shute looked about her age. They should get along well. Misaki curiously asked Shute, Are you not allowed to go out usually? Shute laughed. The range is limited. If you want to work, you can. If not, you can just stay at home. Misaki nodded in understanding. Kazeshima pulled me to the side, away from Misaki and Shute. I'm the same as you. I have to go to the Great Wilderness to participate in the 328 project. I fell silent. Kazeshima was about my age. Kazushima sighed, his expression melancholy. Lately, I've been thinking about what will happen to my wife and children after I leave. I sighed as well. I didn't know when the project would be finished once I got to the Great Wilderness. In 10 years, when I return, my child will be 14. Perhaps by then, the relationship between my child and me will have become distant. We both fell into silence. Kazeshima suddenly remembered something. By the way, Hayashi is also a participant in the 328 project. Compared to us, her situation is even worse. Her family expects her to start a family, but she doesn't even have a boyfriend. If she goes to the Great Wilderness and the project takes 10 years, she'll be nearly 40. I frowned. Hayashi is also participating in the 328 project? 328 needs a robotics expert, but it shouldn't have to be her. How did the dean agree to let her go? Kazeshima shook his head. He knew some things but couldn't say them in front of me. He discovered years ago that Hayashi had a crush on me. Although she never admitted it, he could feel it. I pondered and said to Kazushima, I think I can try to persuade her. We are colleagues and old friends. If she participates, she should know how big an impact it will have on her life. Kazeshima shook his head. I tried. The dean didn't want her to go either, but she insisted. If Hayashi is there, the project time will definitely be shortened. The dean waited and decided to let her go. I frowned. Why is Hayashi so insistent on going to the Great Wilderness? She is participating, but it doesn't have to be her. Kazushima gave an awkward laugh. You'll have to ask the dean about that. She gave me an excuse, but she wasn't telling the truth. Hearing this, I said, then I'll ask the dean tomorrow. Another young couple walked over. After greetings, the 3 women went off to chat. We 3 men went to the other side. Kazushima sighed helplessly. We are all in the same boat. I looked at Chishu. Are you going too? Except for you, everyone participating in the 328 project has already met. We are all reluctant to leave our wives and children, but the 328 project is too important. Once it succeeds, our country will truly have no more worries. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. They hoped the project would finish early and everything would go smoothly, but they knew it wouldn't be that simple. The process would be very difficult. At this moment, the laughter of Misaki and the others interrupted the silence. They were talking and laughing. My heart tightened. After I leave, will Misaki still be able to laugh like this? A while later, more people arrived. Everyone chatted until 10 p.m. when we moved indoors. The robots were busy in the kitchen. Kazushima asked, I remember Hayashi isn't doing anything right now, right? Let's call her. The call connected, and Kazushima asked, Are you free today? Come over to Sora's place for a gathering. Hayakawa replied from the other end. I'm in a meeting, researching the robot upgrades. Kazushima sighed helplessly. She's in a meeting researching upgrades. A true workaholic. Chishu laughed. We're workaholics too, but compared to Hayakawa, we're a bit behind. Misaki curiously asked, Does Hayashi have a boyfriend? Misaki only knew she wasn't married. She wasn't sure if she had a boyfriend. Her boyfriend? I've never heard of her having one in all these years. Always busy with work. Shute said, I talked to her before. She said she wants to do in vitro fertilization. She doesn't want to get married. Everyone was stunned. Kazushima raised an eyebrow. Is marriage that bad? She seems physically and mentally healthy. Why do IVF for no reason? Shute replied. She said she'd rather not force it. Everyone was silent. That actually made sense. For someone with high mental standards, making do in a marriage is like torture. By dinner time, everyone had been drinking. The whole day was spent chatting, playing cards in the afternoon, and continuing to eat and talk at night until 8 p.m. when they left. Lying in bed, Misaki was bored, scrolling through short videos. She saw news about the identity of her husband being revealed on October 1st. Many people were guessing what he looked like and how old he was. Misaki found it very interesting. The day your identity is revealed, your phone will probably explode, especially with all your old classmates calling. At this moment, countless people nationwide were discussing what would happen on October 1st. I really want to worship Professor Sora. Is Sora an old man? If so, we should at least address him as Elder Sora. Must be an old man, otherwise how could he have such a reservoir of knowledge? Just then, everyone's phones popped up with a message from the national media. The title, October 1st, revealing the primary developers of the fighter engines, space missiles, and the Sky Mothership. This news caused a national sensation. Countless people commented below. Why reveal it? Is that okay? The identity of special talents researching weapons should be strictly kept confidential. Exactly. Even though I really want to know who developed the Sky Mothership and space missiles, I think it's better for people like that to stay anonymous. What are you worrying about? If they are revealing the identity of the developer, it must have been carefully considered. Before long, news reached the rest of the world. Global elites were shaken. Was the mysterious veil finally about to be lifted? A young elite said coldly, "Good. Reveal it." However, an old man with white hair frowned. What can we do after it's revealed? Everyone fell silent. That's right. Today's Japan is no longer the sleeping lion. Japan's rise is unstoppable. No faction is stupid enough to go against Japan now. Time flew to Golden Week, October 1st, 10 minutes before the 9 a.m. livestream. In the hall, there were 1,000 seats. None of the people sitting there were ordinary. As soon as the livestream started, countless people flooded the channel. The numbers soared. 50 million in the first second, 500 million in the second. By the 60th second, there were over 300 million viewers. The platform manager let out a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, they had prepared well or the servers would have crashed. The host took the stage. The first item of today's broadcast is the award ceremony for Hayakawa. Everyone knows Hayakawa has been developing intelligent robots since she was 18. It took 12 full years to succeed. The test results are there for everyone to see. Chess robot winner, soccer robot winner. In sports, robots completely beat humans. Besides that, robots can even pilot fighter jets like ace pilots, and later versions will cooperate to operate the Sky Mothership. All this was brought to us by Hayakawa. She devoted her prime years to Japan, delaying her own life milestones. Our national scholar Hayakawa is still single. This is our hero. Let us applaud for Hayakawa. Below the stage, Hayakawa's parents couldn't stop their tears from flowing. Their daughter is a workaholic. To develop intelligent robots, she spent her best years on research. How many times did they feel regret for her? But now, seeing Japan announcing her achievements to the world, they felt her sacrifice was worth it. The host opened the big screen, showing the live comments section. Auntie, uncle, I want to be your son-in-law. I'm 26, 180 centimeters tall. Auntie, uncle, click my avatar to see if I'm fit to be your son-in-law. Hayakawa's parents smiled at the comments, but thinking that she had so many men to choose from and just wouldn't listen, their mood turned heavy again. The host also looked at the comments and smiled. It seems many people want to be Hayakawa's boyfriend. I think our national scholar should consider it. The host looked back excitedly. Let us welcome Hayakawa. Then, a woman who looked like she stepped out of a painting walked over. Her figure was tall and perfectly proportioned, her face angelic and flawless, though her demeanor was slightly cold. Yet at this moment, no one thought she was unapproachable. Everyone felt pity. Such a beautiful woman had spent her prime on research. She deserved everyone's respect. Hayakawa took the microphone and greeted the audience. The host smiled. Do you have any thoughts after seeing the live comments? Hayakawa smiled, her tone calm. I am part of the unmarried generation. I've already decided to do IVF. Once this was said, 1,000 people gasped. The viewers were stunned. Unmarried generation? Why? Isn't it better to find someone you love? Living unmarried is so boring. Countless viewers were confused. The host was shocked too. He looked at the comments and asked, "Someone says finding someone you love is great. Why did you choose to stay unmarried?" Hayakawa replied calmly, "Because I won't love another man again, and I won't make do with someone I don't love." Everyone changed expressions, especially the big shots. They had always regarded Hayakawa as a national treasure and had considered her life milestones, but they were helpless knowing the truth. Her parents felt extremely hurt. Their daughter's will was too strong to be moved. I sat in the audience, silent. Hayakawa said she wouldn't love another man. The underlying meaning was that she once loved one. After these few days of understanding, I knew that person was me. Actually, if I hadn't met Misaki, if I had noticed Hayakawa's feelings earlier, I likely would have been with her. But I met Misaki. Although my wife wasn't as accomplished as Hayakawa, she was like a light in my life. I would never betray Misaki. Misaki, sitting next to me, had actually guessed long ago that Hayakawa liked her husband. Misaki turned to me and whispered calmly, "Hayakawa likes you, right?" I was speechless as I looked at Misaki. Seeing this, Misaki said calmly, "Don't deny it, I'm not a fool." I couldn't deny it. I could only nod helplessly. Hundreds of millions of people heard her words, their expressions shifting. Hayakawa had loved someone else, but couldn't be with him. They felt heartache, and started wondering if she had been dumped by a jerk. On stage, the host wanted to ask more, but today's theme was about publicizing achievements and awarding the academician honor. The host quickly thought and said, "Look at the comments on the screen." Hayakawa looked at the screen with a smile, but it had a hint of sadness. "Netizens are overthinking it. He's living well. I just made my move a step too late." After speaking, Hayakawa turned to the host. "Let's skip these topics." The host said, "Today, besides publicizing the team's research, we will award Hayakawa the Lifetime Honor of National Scholar. Next, I invite the national leader to present the medal." An elderly man at the head of the audience stood up, walked to the stage, and hung the medal around Hayakawa's neck. In the stream, countless people started posting comments. "Congratulations to National Scholar Hayakawa. Every national scholar is a national treasure. Damn, the youngest and most beautiful national scholar in history." After the ceremony, the host looked at the reporters. "Next is your interview time. 5 minutes only." A blonde reporter said, "National scholar, you don't have a boyfriend yet. I think you should consider a man from our Eagle Nation. Our men are excellent." The viewers were furious. "Excellent? Doesn't that imply Japanese men aren't?" Hayakawa naturally understood the implication. Japan has many excellent men. Even if I wanted to marry, I would only consider Japanese men. Another reporter asked, "National scholar, was the man you loved excellent? Or I think you should consider our heavenly nation's men." Hayakawa replied calmly, "He was excellent. Naturally much more excellent than you." The reporter wasn't angry and continued, "Can you reveal who he is?" Hayakawa frowned. "No." As questions were thrown at her, she answered slowly and steadily. The host said, "Interview time is up." Curiosity remained. Was the man Hayakawa loved even more excellent? Could it be Sora, who conquered various diseases? Or someone related to the Sky Mothership? Millions were debating. The person Hayakawa loves is excellent. Could it be Sora? How could it be Sora? Sora conquered 3 diseases, he must be over 45. How could she like an old man? Actually, I've always felt Sora is only in his 30s. His name doesn't sound like the older generation. Tens of thousands of former Explore the Other Half viewers knew Sora was handsome and only 28, and they were familiar with each other. Hearing Hayakawa, they felt even more certain it was him. They flooded the chat. "I bet my life the man Hayakawa loves is Sora. I think it's Sora too. Don't ask why, you'll find out soon." The 1,000 people in the audience saw the comments and exchanged glances. Hayakawa loves Sora? This is a huge scoop. Thinking about it, it was all consistent. She made her move late because Sora was with Misaki. And among peers, no one was more excellent than Sora. They exchanged glances, not knowing what to say. Misaki felt under intense pressure. After today, her background would be exposed. Would the netizens compare her to Hayakawa? She only hoped they would be merciful. On stage, Hayakawa looked calm and composed. Since she couldn't hide her feelings, she might as well face them. The host said to Hayakawa, "National scholar, The audience saw the seats on stage and discussed. That seat fits 5 people. There are 4 left. One is for Sora. The rest must be for the developers of the fighter engines and the Sky Mothership. The host said, "Next, we invite someone whose name you all know well. As you all guessed, we invite Sora to the stage." Countless people in Japan perked up. They had waited too long for this day. Was Sora's age finally being revealed? Most excited were the viewers of Explore the Other Half. They had wanted to see his identity revealed for a long time. The host said, in the previously announced rankings, Sora topped the billionaire, donation, and culinary lists. And everyone knows Sora conquered cancer, AIDS, and lung heart disease. The host paused and said slowly, "Next, I'll announce something you don't know. Sora, like Hayakawa, was a national entrance exam valedictorian. He entered the academy at 18. Hayakawa entered 2 years earlier than him." The comments exploded. Hayakawa entered 2 years earlier and is 30? That means Sora is only 28. Viewers couldn't believe it. Sora is only 28, and he conquered cancer, AIDS, and is the world's richest man? Many looked up the valedictorian records from 10 years ago. It took only seconds. They were stunned. Especially my classmates from Canaan. They thought of the Sora they knew. Could it really be the same person? The host's voice became passionate. "Now let's invite academician Sora to the stage." As he spoke, the camera landed on the front row of the audience. It was Sora and Masaki. Old Sora, old Chow. Isn't that Tanaka-san and his wife? Among the hundreds of millions of people in the live stream, there were many relatives and friends who knew us. At this moment, they couldn't help but gasp in shock. An elderly man looked at the live stream, his pupils contracting. He was my high school homeroom teacher. He knew I was the national valedictorian, but he never expected that I had conquered 3 world-class problems and become the world's richest man. Just now, hearing the host call Sora, his former student was a national scholar, and the youngest one in history at that. The old man was trembling with excitement. One of the students he had taught had become a national scholar. While countless people were shocked and feeling it was unbelievable, I walked onto the stage slowly and greeted the audience, on site and in the live stream. Immediately, the screen behind me switched. In the video, I was wearing protective gear, looking confusedly at the middle-aged man in front of me. "Why are you recording this?" The middle-aged man smiled. "We will use these videos when we need to make your identity public in the future." Hearing this, I was silent for a few seconds. I hope my identity is never made public. Once it is, my family won't be as free. Several middle-aged men fell silent after hearing this. 10 minutes later, the videos on cancer, AIDS, and lung heart disease finished playing. At this moment, the host on stage continued. "Next, we will show you some interesting videos." In the video, it was a variety show live stream called Exploring the Other Half. On the big screen, Masaki was introducing herself. "My name is Masaki. This show is mainly about exploring my husband. Let me introduce him simply. He is called Sora, a programmer. He works from home writing code. He's a homebody who basically stays at home all the time. I think the production team won't be able to explore anything at all." Hundreds of millions of people in the national media livestream couldn't help but burst into laughter when they saw Masaki in the video. Immediately, the video switched. In it, I was cooking in the kitchen, while on the other side, Masaki looked angry. "You jerk! You said you couldn't cook and you've been tricking me into cooking for 5 years. Seeing this, the audience in the live stream couldn't help but crack up. "Masaki is so cute. She's been tricked by Professor Sora into cooking for 5 years. At this moment, the video switched again. In it were Ichiro Sato and Kenji Tanaka, the chairman of 2 major pharmaceutical companies. Ichiro Sato smiled. Actually, the pricing for the AIDS vaccine and the AIDS candy was decided by Professor Sora. 1 AIDS vaccine is equivalent to 1,000 yen, and a box of AIDS candy is 10,000 yen. Curing AIDS requires 3 boxes, which is 30,000 yen. Kenji Tanaka laughed. This price is set well. 1,000 yen per vaccine is cheap for developed regions. However, we won't sell the AIDS candy overseas for now. Overseas, people will definitely get the vaccine first. Even if they know they are being exploited, they have no choice but to take it." The middle-aged man, Ichiro Sato, also clapped and praised. "Let those overseas pharmaceutical companies sell us medicine at sky-high prices, and treat us like cash cows. It's time for us to give them a taste of their own medicine. At this moment, the overseas elites and billionaires saw the conversation between Ichiro Sato and Kenji Tanaka, and their faces turned extremely ugly. They remembered the AIDS vaccine and candy. Clearly, they were developed together, but the candy wasn't sold overseas under the pretext of being unable to mass produce it. Helpless, they could only purchase large quantities of the vaccine. Normally with the candy, the vaccine wouldn't be needed, but since they weren't selling the candy, what could they do? Looking at the screen, they probably felt like killing me. However, the reaction in the national media livestream was the complete opposite. That's exactly how it should be. An eye for an eye. National scholar Sora is mighty. At this moment, the host looked toward the reporters on the side. It is now interview time. You still only have 5 minutes. A middle-aged man with blonde hair and blue eyes stood up, his face dark. Professor Sora, in the video just now, you clearly developed the AIDS candy, but you refused to sell it overseas. Isn't that going too far? Facing the foreign reporter's inquiry, I looked at him expressionlessly. So what if it's going too far? Hearing this, the foreign reporter didn't dare to speak. So what if it's going too far? Who would dare to do anything now? Hundreds of millions of people in the live stream flooded the comments. Exactly! Don't forget how you treated us. Only you were allowed to exploit us? Many people in the live stream saw the reporter's angry yet helpless face and felt great. The other reporters also looked terrible. On stage, I looked at this group of reporters calmly. Think about how you used to sell medicine that cost a few dozen yen to produce for thousands or tens of thousands. If you want to talk about going too far. Hearing this, the reporters could not pursue the questioning any further. The livestream comments were flying. That's how it should be. Haha, national scholar Sora is quite tough. Yes, this is how a man should be. A group of female viewers also commented, national scholar Sora is so cool. Unlike some sissy celebrities who talk timidly, more womanly than us women. At this moment, Hayakawa, standing at the back of the stage, looked at me with eyes full of admiration and thinly veiled affection. Although I am usually very easygoing, being easygoing doesn't mean I am easy to bully. She had seen me being authoritative before, and every time she saw me show that side, her adrenaline would accelerate. Misaki, in the audience, couldn't help but be stunned. She stared at me on stage. In the 5 years of marriage, she had rarely seen me being authoritative. Because I was usually easygoing and gave people a comfortable feeling, she hadn't seen this kind of imposing manner for a long time. Misaki, who had regained her composure, looked at me with deep affection. What kind of disease do you plan to research next? I looked at him and replied, immune system disorders, such as rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, and lupus. The faces of several pharmaceutical bosses watching the live stream changed drastically. Their companies mainly produced drugs for these diseases, which not only had high profit margins, but also high sales volumes. These are chronic diseases that require lifelong medication, just like eating and drinking every day. This also ensured they would have continuous revenue. But if I developed drugs that could cure these diseases, their companies would go bankrupt. For a time, every head of such pharmaceutical companies felt their livelihood was at stake. Conversely, the ordinary audience watching the live stream was very excited because many of them were tormented by these diseases. If I could really conquer them, they would be liberated. Many patients immediately commented, wishing National Scholar Sora smooth research, a long life, good health, and may all your wishes come true. I have this disease, it's too tormenting. My monthly medical expenses are over 1,000 yen, I can't do heavy work, and I have to take medicine every day. Every 3 months, I have to go to the hospital to check my liver and kidney function. It's too hard. I looked at the comments on the big screen and didn't say anything. Before researching these, I have to finish the 328 project first. At this time, another reporter asked, may I ask how long it took you to research cancer, AIDS, and lung heart disease? I replied calmly, a little over 3 years. Once this was said, the reporters were dumbfounded. Conquering 3 world-class problems in just over 3 years? The reporter thought he had misheard and asked uncertainly, are you saying it took a total of 3 years? I nodded calmly. I started researching when I was 23, and it took a total of 3 years. Hearing this, the reporter seemed to have caught a weakness and smiled deviously. Didn't you enter the Academy of Sciences at 18? So what were you doing between 18 and 23? However, before I could speak, the host held the schedule and said, Interview time is up. Stop the interview. Hearing this, the reporter stared at me on stage with a stiff face. He didn't know if I would answer that question. In the live stream, countless people were also discussing, from 23 to 26, conquering cancer, AIDS, and lung heart disease. Although it sounds unbelievable, I am willing to believe it. But I am also curious what National Scholar Sora was doing from 18 to 23. By the way, when was National Scholar Sora awarded the title of National Scholar? Even the audience from the Exploring the Other Half livestream was confused now. They originally thought my identity had been fully revealed, but looking at the current situation, it seemed there were still mysteries. At this moment, the host on stage had whetted everyone's appetite. Everyone was curious about what age I was when I was awarded the National Scholar honor. Let me tell everyone, National Scholar Sora entered the Academy of Sciences at 18 and was awarded the honor at 19. After this was said, countless people across the country were shocked to the point of scalp numbness. What did they hear? Sora became a National Scholar at 19? At 19, many people are still in college. The live stream exploded with comments like a surging river. Became a National Scholar at 19? What the hell did he have to research for that? Seeing the crowd's reaction, the host said slowly, "Next, I will play a set of videos for everyone. In the video, I am wearing work clothes, looking very young, even a bit childish. At this moment, I am standing next to an aircraft with the seniors of the team, chatting about something. At this moment, an old man walked up to me. He looked at me solemnly, his eyes full of admiration. The fighter engine problem has always been our heart disease. Once solved, I will nominate you for the National Scholar honor." In the video, I said calmly, "I don't care about the honor, I just want to solve the engine problem early." The old man patted my shoulder in silence. The video ended here. The screen switched. In a large office, I was sitting in the main seat, looking at everyone, and said, "Everyone has just looked at each other's engine designs. Whose design do you think is better? Are there any common areas that can complement each other?" At this moment, a middle-aged man looked at me and said, "Professor Sora, we have just discussed it and think your design matches the 3D model the best. The new engine and materials can also fit perfectly." Another person said, "Professor Sora, I think we can use your design scheme." The video switched again. At this moment, a brand new engine appeared on the screen. The middle-aged man on the side swung his fist with excitement. "Success! We really succeeded, and the engine performance is very powerful." This matter soon alarmed the superiors. Before long, a group of big shots arrived. Looking at the fighter engine that led the world, they were all excited. The video ended there, and the host pressed the pause button. Fighter engines have always been our heart disease, delaying the speed of fighter upgrades. National Scholar Sora led the team and completely solved these problems in less than a year. The host then continued in a passionate tone. During the development, National Scholar Sora also conquered high-precision CNC machine tools, resulting in materials with longer life and higher precision. Therefore, at 19, National Scholar Sora was awarded the title of National Scholar. He is truly peerless. At this moment, hundreds of millions of people in the live stream were shaken. The fighter engine problem was also conquered by Sora leading the team. Masaki, sitting in the audience, couldn't help but gasp. Looking at me on stage, her eyes were full of shock. Her husband was too heaven-defying. The old man on the side was a military enthusiast, and now he couldn't help but be shocked into using slang. His son-in-law was so amazing. He couldn't help but think of his daughter. She really had the blessing of 8 lifetimes. At this moment, the overseas elites couldn't sit still anymore. The Sora was too terrifying. They originally thought I only had achievements in the medical field, but now they felt a strong crisis. Who knew what incredible things would be developed in the future? The host looked at me with respect. "National Scholar Sora, would you like to say a few words?" Hearing this, I was a bit dazed. I picked up the microphone and pondered. Actually, conquering the fighter engine is not my credit alone. In fact, conquering a fighter jet requires many people. For example, the high-precision CNC machine tool problem. Without it, one cannot manufacture high-precision materials. And researching the engine requires the entire team to work together. This credit belongs to the entire scientific research team. Countless people smiled upon hearing this. "Although you say so, you are too humble. Perhaps without you, a good engine could still be developed, but it would have taken a lot longer." The host smiled and asked me, "How do you feel when you see yourself at 18 or 19? I chuckled. "Indeed, quite young, but still so handsome." After chatting for a while, the host smiled, and his expression became a bit more serious. He said slowly, "Next, I will play the next set of videos." Countless people were stunned. There was another set? I saw 3 words on the big screen. Lithography machine. When people saw these words, their scalps went numb. WTF? Don't tell me the lithography machine was also conquered by national scholar Sora? No way. Lithography machine, too? Academician Sora participated in that? For a time, countless people stared closely at the screen. At this moment, a scene appeared on the screen. There were a group of middle-aged men and some old people, but the most eye-catching was a young man. WTF! National scholar Sora really participated in lithography machine research. At this moment, the host on stage held the microphone and said slowly, "Many people know about lithography machines and chips, but many people don't have a high understanding of them. Everyone doesn't know how difficult it is to develop the most advanced lithography machine." Then the host continued, "A lithography machine requires 100,000 components. In the past, some of these could not be manufactured at all. Some, even if manufactured, were not precise enough. Since national scholar Sora first solved the high-precision CNC machine tool problem, the parts for the lithography machine could finally be manufactured. The car chips and mobile phone chips we use now are all thanks to the lithography machine conquered by Sora's team." Speaking of this, the host's voice was passionate. Let us applaud national scholar Sora and the research team. Hearing this, the 1,000 people in the audience applauded enthusiastically. At this moment, a voice came through the host's wireless headset. After listening, the host smiled. "It is now 11:30 a.m., time for lunch. We will continue at 2 p.m. to disclose the main conquerors of the space missiles and the Sky Mothership." Saying this, the live broadcast ended. Even though there was no picture in the live stream, one audience member after another couldn't help thinking, won't the space missiles and the Sky Mothership also be conquered by national scholar Sora? But thinking about it, that feels too exaggerated. At this moment, Hayakawa and I went off stage. An old man looked at the two and chuckled. Subsequently, the group headed to the dining area. Time quickly reached 2 p.m. As soon as the broadcast started, the audience flooded the chat. Space missiles are sky exploding. I feel space missiles are even more awesome than the Sky Mothership. They have different uses. All I can say is that both are amazing. At this moment, the host spoke slowly. Next, let's learn about the space missiles. Space missiles can be maintained for more than 10 years in the atmospheric vacuum environment. From the vacuum environment to the normal environment, the initial speed is 15 Mach, the middle speed is 20 Mach, and the terminal speed is 35 Mach. With the current air defense system, it is impossible to intercept at a speed of 35 Mach. The audience in the live stream exploded. 35 Mach? If it can't be intercepted, isn't it invincible? The top elites around the world frowned. Such missiles indeed could not be intercepted. Japan's technological strength had become stronger. At this moment, a top elite said coldly, "They only have a strong spear, but they don't have a corresponding shield. Our missiles currently have no air defense system capable of interception." People around breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this. At this moment, the audience in the live stream also discovered this problem. Space missiles can be called the world's strongest missiles, but our air defense system also cannot intercept others' missiles. I think it's better to develop defensive missiles. In this day and age, the shield never develops as fast as the spear. Suppose there are 1,000 defensive missiles that can intercept 100%. But if the opponent launches a saturated attack and drops 10,000 missiles, what then? At this moment, I also saw the livestream comments. What these netizens said made sense. However, the role of the Sky Mothership had not been truly disclosed. After it is disclosed, these netizens should feel relieved. In fact, the most important thing now is to complete the 328 project. Only by solving this project can we truly sit back and relax. At this moment, some 60 or 70-year-old men in the audience thought, the 328 project is too important. Once solved, Japan can be summarized in 2 words, invincible. At this moment, the host looked at the comments and smiled. Then let's talk about the Sky Mothership. We currently have 4 Sky Motherships guarding the 4 corners. The Sky Mothership is equipped with the latest ultra-long-range laser cannons and the latest air defense missiles. The success rate of intercepting missiles reached 99%. This is mainly due to the laser cannons in the defense system. The energy used by the laser cannons is nuclear energy, which means the laser cannons can be used continuously to keep intercepting incoming missiles. After the host's words were finished, countless people were shocked. Ultra-long-range laser? If this is the case, aren't we afraid of saturated attacks? Invincible. At this moment, the world's top elites had their pupils contracting rapidly. The Sky Mothership was equipped with ultra-long-range laser cannons. This was another type of advanced weapon. The interception rate reached 99%. Although the interception rate wasn't 100%, even 99% might be a bit exaggerated. At this moment, a person said calmly, "The ultra-long-range laser cannon's interception capability is strong, but it also requires charging. And if an ultimate war breaks out, as long as one is not intercepted." Soon, under the arrangement of these foreign top elites, a large number of overseas accounts logged into the live stream. So what if space missiles and the Sky Mothership are powerful? So what if they have crushing ability in conventional operations? Dare to play big? Dare to play... Exactly. Space missiles and the Sky Mothership are just like that. You can't achieve 100% interception anyway. On stage, the host looked at the messy comments and coughed. Next, we will disclose the main conquerors of the space missiles and the Sky Mothership. Please have National Scholar Sora come to the stage. After the host finished speaking, the 1,000 people in the audience subconsciously applauded. While applauding, some people couldn't help but feel very expectant. Misaki's father was dumbfounded. WTF, space missiles and the Sky Mothership were also conquered by Sora? At this moment, the audience in the live stream was already numb. As expected, it was National Scholar Sora again. They also understood what a person like me meant. For a time, countless people in the live stream commented, "National Scholar Sora is awesome. Peerless scholar." At this moment, those overseas accounts began to shout again. "What's so awesome? Isn't it just space missiles and the Sky Mothership? Making it seem like we are afraid?" Exactly. Let's talk when you can achieve 100% interception rate. Some old men in the audience saw the comments in the live stream and clenched their fists. However, they were not angry. What those overseas people said was reasonable. We now have conventional crushing power, but the result of an ultimate war would still be the same. This does not mean that space missiles and the Sky Mothership can be underestimated. At this moment, an old man picked up a special mobile phone, dialed a number, and then said calmly, "Take the Sky Mothership out to show off to the whole world." In less than half an hour, everyone received the news one after another. All 4 Sky Motherships had been dispatched. They were currently flying freely at an altitude of 500 meters and a speed of 500 kilometers. At this moment, some merchant ships on the sea suddenly shouted in surprise, "Japan's Sky Mothership!" With one exclamation, everyone looked up. For a time, more and more people saw the huge Sky Mothership. The appearance was sci-fi, giving people a sense of cross-era technology. Previously, they had only seen it on TV. This sense of pressure made them feel a bit suffocated, and breathing became a bit difficult. At the same time, many Japanese people also saw the Sky Mothership on TV. "We should take the Sky Mothership out for a stroll." Didn't those foreigners say the Sky Mothership was just like that? After the broadcast ended, Hayakawa and I were pulled by a group of superiors to the state banquet hall for a celebration. Time flew by, and 75 days passed in a flash. These days, the TV was full of news about me, Hayakawa, and the Sky Mothership. When the Sky Mothership toured the planet, many overseas people fell silent, and many even showed a look of fear and panic. Japanese people were naturally happy to see such news. However, while happy, they still felt that their current strength was not enough. Although the Sky Mothership is powerful, if an ultimate war breaks out, even if one is missed during interception, the consequences would be extremely heavy. Therefore, many people called for the development of stronger air defense systems as soon as possible. On the other side, Misaki and I were drinking tea in the courtyard. Although I had a faint smile on my face, a hint of reluctance flashed in my eyes. I had to secretly head to the Great Wilderness. On the 8th, I had to tell my family that I was going to leave. Misaki tilted her head and asked me. Hearing this, I smiled. I'll officially start work on the 8th. Misaki nodded and said with some anticipation, "For the past 5 years, I've basically been the one working outside. I haven't experienced the feeling of staying at home with the kids. When the time comes, I'll stay at home with the kids every day and wait for you to get off work." Hearing her say this, I smiled and nodded, but I felt even more uncomfortable inside. Then I looked at Misaki and said with a faint smile, "Plus the half year we were dating, you've cried 9 times in total." Hearing this, Misaki couldn't help recalling the time when we were dating. She remembered crying once on the day of the wedding and not once after the wedding. The other 8 times were all when we were dating. Suddenly, Misaki glared at me secretly and said with a coquettish smile, "Why are you talking about this?" Hearing this, I smiled and scratched my head, just suddenly remembered this. However, I sighed inwardly. Misaki cried when we were dating because I felt I was sorry for her. At that time, because of my identity, Misaki wouldn't be as free and unconstrained after marrying me, and it would also become somewhat dangerous. Therefore, I wanted to break up with Misaki several times. Of course, I didn't say break up directly, but wanted to force her to propose a breakup through cold violence, or do something that would make Misaki feel disgusted, so that Misaki would slowly stop liking me. But at that time, I was dating for the first time, and I already liked Misaki very much, which led to me being unable to do it realistically, thus revealing flaws. But even so, she cried many times because of this. Misaki also recalled some things from the past at this moment. She raised her eyebrows and stared at me coldly with her beautiful eyes. "You used cold violence to force me, and deliberately did things that made me dislike you. When I asked you for the reason, the explanation you gave at the time was not sufficient. Was it because of your identity?" Hearing this, I nodded gently. "At that time, I thought if you married me, in case my identity was exposed, you might be in danger, so You cute little brat." Misaki cursed me with a coquettish smile. She remembered how she was driven crazy by me when we were dating. Usually, it's the girls who play hard to get, but in her case, the boyfriend was the one being difficult. Later, until the day of the wedding, she really breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, I looked at Misaki's beautiful face and couldn't help but fall silent. My wife hasn't cried for more than 5 years. Maybe she will cry tonight? In the afternoon, I notified my parents and my parents-in-law to have dinner together in the evening. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I cooked by myself. My father-in-law couldn't help but say, "Let the robots do it." My mother-in-law on the side also said, "Don't cook. The food made by the robots is also very delicious. It's not much different." I nodded gently after hearing this. That's true. After I tell them I'm leaving, everyone might not have any appetite to eat. A few people sat down at the dinner table. My mother-in-law kept praising me on the side. Misaki on the side felt that she was not biological, as if she was picked up. The food was on the table. I first raised my glass and smiled. "You guys drink less. I want to drink more today." Everyone didn't think much about it, smiled and touched glasses, drinking a little. But I was different. I drank a whole glass of 8+1 in one go, without leaving a drop. Misaki on the side blamed me when she saw this. "Even with hangover capsules, you can't drink so fiercely. Can your stomach take it?" After hearing this, I smiled. "It's okay." After eating a few bites, I raised my glass again and said, "Mom, Dad, mother-in-law, father-in-law." Mom looked at me and couldn't help but wonder, "What's wrong with you today? Why drink so much?" Hearing this, I smiled helplessly. "Wait until I'm drunk, and I'll tell you something." After speaking, I drank again in one gulp. The alcohol went to my head, and I already felt a bit dizzy. At this moment, Misaki on the side took the wine away directly. "No more drinking!" She felt that something was wrong in her heart at this moment. As time passed, I was silent for a few minutes, then closed my eyes and whispered. Misaki and the others felt a little tight in their hearts after hearing this. I whispered, "Going to a very far place for scientific research." Hearing this, Misaki was speechless. I thought it was something else. "If you are busy with work, I will definitely support you." Aren't there many people who go out to work and only come back once a year? They do it to earn money to support their families, and you do it for the whole country. I support you 100%. Speaking of this, Misaki continued to ask, "How long are you going for?" I still kept my head down and was silent for a while before whispering. Misaki was stunned after hearing this. She didn't expect it would start at a minimum of 3 years, or even longer. After 10 years, she would be 38 years old, and the child would be 14 years old. The expressions of the others also changed at this moment. I lowered my head and sighed. Cannot contact during the period, cannot correspond by letter. Mom widened her eyes. Going for so long? Then wouldn't Mom not be able to see you for many years? Dad was silent, and the old lady was also silent. The mother-in-law's lips moved, wanting to say something but didn't know how to open her mouth. At this moment, she was also silent. For a time, everyone was silent. After a silence, Dad took the lead and said, Sora is busy with work for the sake of the whole country. Without silent sacrifice, where would the country be now? We must fully support him as his family. The father-in-law gritted his teeth and said, I also fully support Sora. My mother and mother-in-law did not speak. At this moment, Misaki, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly looked at me with a smile. Don't worry. I will take good care of myself and take good care of the children. Misaki, who originally wanted to pretend to be calm, suddenly choked up as she spoke. After she finished speaking, she really couldn't help but want to cry bitterly. But she didn't want me to see her sad look, so she had to stand up, quickly entered the room, locked the door, jumped on the bed, covered herself with the quilt, and cried loudly. Dad looked at me, who was silent, and said, Work hard. Strive to finish early. Hearing this, the old lady also looked at the optimistic side and said, You have conquered so many problems of the Blue Star in 10 years. Although I don't know what this project is, your father-in-law and I fully believe that you can handle it quickly. I listened to my father and father-in-law's words and took a deep breath. After chatting for a while, everyone got up. You go and comfort Misaki. The old lady didn't say anything. She was worried about her daughter, but she believed I could solve it. After everyone left, I went to get a key to unlock the bedroom door. I saw Misaki with her head covered in the quilt, emitting crying sounds from time to time. I walked over and didn't say anything, just hugging Misaki. More than 2 hours passed in a flash. She held me tightly at this moment, as if she was afraid I would leave the next moment. She didn't fall asleep until the early morning. The next day, October 7th, after breakfast, I proposed to take Misaki out for a walk. Misaki responded as if nothing had happened. On the way to take a walk, we happened to run into Kazeshima and his wife Shudate, who also came out for a stroll. Shute was wearing makeup, but you could still see that Shute's eyes were a bit swollen. Kazeshima and I exchanged glances. The situation last night was about the same. At this moment, Chishu came here with Xiaoqing. Kazeshima looked at Shute, Misaki, and Xiaoqing and said, Why don't you three talk for a while? Watching the three people walk to the side, Kazeshima felt heartache. Yesterday, my wife cried so much that my heart ached. Hearing this, Chishu sighed. But there is no other way. We must go to the 328 project. Kazeshima sighed again. Leaving tomorrow. I guess after I leave tomorrow, my wife will cry again. Hearing this, Chishu said, Let the three of them get together more when they are free. Talk about their hearts. It will be better that way. I'm just afraid that the three of them will talk and then cry together. Hearing this, Chishu imagined it and felt that the possibility was quite large. After chatting for a while, we separated. I held Misaki's hand and looked at the great weather. It's the 7th today. By the end of the month, the temperature will turn cool. Wear more jackets then. Misaki smiled and looked at me. Where did you put the USB flash drive with the TV shows you filmed before? I looked at her and laughed. You don't want to slowly appreciate them after I leave, do you? Hearing me say this, Misaki gave a light hum. I smiled helplessly. You can do whatever you want. At this moment, Misaki continued. What if you miss me? Why don't you take a robot with you? Sugetsu or Su? You pick one. Hearing this, I was completely speechless. Are you crazy? How awkward would it be if my colleague saw that? Misaki rolled her eyes at me, then took my hand and continued our walk. At noon, I took Misaki to find a place to have a meal. In the afternoon, I took Misaki to stroll around the periphery of the Japan Academy of Sciences. We didn't get back home until 5 in the afternoon. At this moment, my parents and parents-in-law were also there. Seeing that Misaki had calmed down, everyone couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. In the evening, everyone had dinner together and drank quite a bit of alcohol. By 9 o'clock in the evening, only Misaki and I were left at home. Because it was the last night, Misaki was exceptionally gentle tonight. It was as if a warm breeze suddenly appeared in the middle of winter, gliding across every inch of skin, feeling exceptionally comfortable. Early the next morning, I took my suitcase and stood outside the villa to say goodbye to everyone. I'll be back before long. When I return, we'll drink together again. Everyone smiled and didn't say anything sad. That was just fine. I looked at Misaki with a smile. If it's a son in your belly, let's call him Soro. If it's a daughter, she can take your surname and be called Misaki Shea. It would be even better if it were twins. Hearing this, Misaki smiled. I will definitely raise the child to be chubby and healthy. Watching the car getting further and further away, everyone felt a sense of emptiness in their hearts. With me gone from the house, it felt like something was missing. 20 minutes later, in an underground tunnel in the imperial capital, hundreds of scientific researchers boarded the underground railcar one after another. Until the railcar started, many people in the car looked out the window in silence.